third cousin once removed.
I love you
But
too. We grew up like siblings, and I mean, it's an approach.
It's creepy, a little creepy for me because now I'm falling in love with Marco Rubio. And can I just tell you why, real quick?
Yeah, please.
I loved because now he seems to me now he's a political outsider because everybody told him he couldn't do it.
He couldn't finish third. He was third the whole way.
Yeah, but it was a strong third place finish.
For months they told us because we didn't have the right endorsements or the right political connections, we had no chance. They told me that we had no chance because my hair wasn't gray enough and my boots were too high. They told me I needed to wait my turn, that I needed to wait in line.
No, they didn't tell you that. Jeb Bush told you that. That's not they. Number one. Number two, this is part of the humorous thing about this race to me, especially as it pertains to Rubio and Cruz. Cruz is 6 months older than Rubio.
Well, why does he seem like he's a decade older than Rubio?
Exactly. Well, no, but I mean, the whole a new American century and I'm the new generation of leadership. So is the guy standing right next to you. We'll get more reactions because Hillary Clinton came this close to a Howard Dean moment. This close. We'll get Hillary and Bernie, the comrades on the other side, and take your calls after this.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, today, cloudy, windy with rain developing. There can be some sleet mixed in, a high of 42 degrees. Then tonight, a couple of evening showers. And tomorrow, considerable cloudiness, breezy with a snow shower, highs in the mid-30s. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. South side of Chicago, it's a fire in a motel, 65th and King Drive. Blaze, the second floor unit of a hotel there, or a motel, I should say. So crews are at the scene. West side, traffic lights are out. Chicago Avenue and Ashland. Careful at that intersection. There's a crash in Warrenville. Batavia Road at Butterfield Road with the fog and mist, and visibility is reduced. A little slippery here and there, so allow some extra time and following distance. Willow Springs Road is closed between 79th and German Church Road as a tree fell right by some power lines. Expressways and tollways for an hour delay free. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Here's Dr. Howard, formulator of Balance of Nature, an all-natural, 100% organic fruit and vegetable supplement.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Get real today with Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code Chicago.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com. Tasty Catering is bringing outdoor happiness to you and your coworkers in a variety of forms this picnic season.
Down-home barbecue, street tacos, sausages and sandwiches, steaks, chops, fish, Greek feasts, pig roasts, the list goes on.
Tasty Catering picnic foods are getting more deliciously sophisticated than ever, too, which means you can meet everyone's needs with even more great picnic food options.
Organic, gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, and dairy-free options never tasted so picnicky.
Your picnic doesn't stop with amazing freshly grilled food, entertainment, rentals, decor, venue selection. Get everything you need with one single call to Tasty Catering.
Inflatables and crafts for the kids, games and athletics for the teenagers, beverage packages and entertainment options for the adults. There's so much to choose from.
The best company picnics start at tastycatering.com. View picnic menus, entertainment options, picnic spots, and more when you visit tastycatering.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Dan and Amy, we're talking Iowa caucus, of course. Got some texts. Ann B. Davis's bowling ball texting in. Someone put the Canuck in filibuster mode. He was still talking when they locked up the ballroom. That's what it felt like. I mean, it also, because he was the last speech of the night, it felt even longer after hearing from the other candidates, at least that were covered by the cable news channels.
I'll tell you, he nodded me off to sleep. It's the last thing I remember.
Text from Trump supporter, Cruz will join Santorum and Huckabee. He wins the Iowa caucus, and you're already predicting his departure.
You know what I'm going to predict, though? Donald Trump's going to make second place great again. It's great to be in second place.
Not if it's second place in Iowa. So we'll see on that. Let's talk to Mark in Des Plaines on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, you guys. I love Ted Cruz. I mean, he is my kind of guy. But I want you guys to sit down with me at Milt's Barbecue for the Perplexed for lunch and tell me how, if he wins the nomination, he will win the presidency for us.
I'll tell you. You want me to tell you in 2 sentences? He is going to pursue a base plus strategy, a very similar strategy to what President Obama pursued on his side in 2012. It is to turn out conservatives, enthusiastic conservatives, plus garner a lot of those voters right now who are supporting Donald Trump, who were jettisoned by the Democratic Party formally in 2012, but were not embraced. I'm not done, Mark. We're not brought into the fold by Mitt Romney, which is actually why he lost. That was actually the difference of those 250,000 votes he needed spread over 4 states in 2012 that he didn't get. And if Cruz gets those voters, a lot of those Trump voters, a lot of those first-time caucus goers in Iowa yesterday, and similarly disposed voters in states like Ohio and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, even Michigan, then Ted Cruz wins. I mean, I get the whole idea that Ted Cruz, this argument that's being made by many, that Ted Cruz is too conservative to win the presidency. Other than the issue of amnesty, what is the difference between Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio? And by the way, on that issue, amnesty is an 80% loser in a general election. Forget even the Republican primary. So what is the difference substantively in terms of the conservatism between of Rubio?
It's just like,
it wasn't creepy at all. It was a human moment
thanks
for them.
Thanks for the call, Mark.
No, the thing is, I mean, Iowa has a large evangelical base, and what state can he win next where you can put together the same coalition? I mean, he's not going to win New Hampshire, I don't think, but maybe coming off the momentum of Iowa, maybe he will, but Trump has a pretty strong lead in New Hampshire.
Cruz is kind of in the position that Rubio and Trump were in Iowa, which is Cruz needs a strong second or even a strong third place finish, and he still, I don't think, really loses much momentum going into South Carolina. And I've said on this show before, and I'll say it again, I think whoever wins South Carolina is going to be the nominee. Yeah. I mean, I don't think, somebody could win South Carolina and then collapse going into Super Tuesday, March 1st. That's possible. But I just think South Carolina is a much better predictor of the eventual nominee after you've got a caucus and a primary under your belt than is Iowa. And I think you've seen that play out in recent election cycles. Doesn't mean it'll hold true in this one. That's just my sense of it.
I'm still liking Marco Rubio, though, because I'm still candidate shopping. So I watched and I listened yesterday, and I saw their reactions to winning and to losing.
Yeah.
And it's I'm leaning toward Marco Rubio.
Well, the interesting thing is you're in the position that a lot of late-breaking voters in Iowa were in. There's not a lot of exit polling yet, but some of the exit polling, that at least that was reported last night, suggests that there were a substantial percentage of Iowa Republican caucus voters who made their decisions in the last couple of days, if not walking into the caucus. Yeah. And the late breakers broke disproportionately for Rubio, which is why he had a better finish than he was predicted to have. And so the question becomes, and it was batted around last night, did Trump skipping the last debate hurt him? And I think you can make the case that it's again too early on the data, but it's possible that it did because you had late deciding voters.
But NBC had, when people were walking into the caucuses said, I've been a Trump supporter all along. I'm going to vote for Rubio. And it could be the Des Moines Register endorsement for Marco Rubio, too. I mean, we poo-poo that here, but that's a pretty important, substantial paper in the state of Iowa.
Look, every little bit helps. And when you're talking about a couple thousand votes which separated Trump from Rubio, or a couple thousand votes which allowed Rubio to close the gap to make it such a close second versus third race, I mean, that matters. Now, I'll tell you what, on the other side, we'll get to
the dark side, you mean?
Well, yes, exactly. On the other side of the news and on the other side of the aisle, we'll get to Hillary's speech, her quasi-victory speech last night, because it is really quite something to behold, and I want to give equal time to our friends on the other side of the aisle. We'll do that after this.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
If you suffer from depression, consider TMS, an incredible new advancement in treating and relieving depression.
I'm Gina, and I suffered with depression for 19 years. And like most people, I tried medications, and I couldn't tolerate the side effects, and they never worked properly for me. TMS was a great thing. It helped me out so much. Now I have the sparkle back in my eyes, and I'm able to feel great about life again. It worked really great for me, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody suffering with depression.
TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, is a safe, non-invasive, and highly effective treatment for drug-resistant depression. Most insurance companies cover TMS, including Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and Medicare. Depression can be beaten, and without drugs. To schedule a free consultation, call Theramind at 847-562-5868 or go to tmsmind.com.
With ChicagoRadioDeals.com, seeing is believing, and you have to see the deal from Vision One LASIK Center. Get LASIK surgery on both eyes at their state-of-the-art center in Lombard for only $1,900. It's a $3,800 value. Start with a consultation of any of the Vision One LASIK centers in Arlington Heights, Chicago, or Lombard. Vision One is a private practice with LASIK specialists Dr. Brand, Dr. Martin, and Dr. Berger. Hey, are you ready for this hot deal? Bikram Yoga of Rolling Meadows has a 10-class package at their beautiful studios on Hicks Road. Bikram Yoga, a series of 26 yoga postures, 2 breathing exercises. It's taught in a 90-minute class in a 105-degree setting. You'll be sure to sweat. This package retails for $130. It's only $50 at CRD. CRD features fabulous deals for skin care like microdermabrasion from Hannah Facial Cosmetic Surgery, or for the best in relaxation, experience spa treatments at the Primal Ocean Salt Caves in LaGrange. All this and more can be found only at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we'll hear from Sanders and Clinton, and also Bernie Sanders Feel the Burn supporters get introduced to the Bernie billionaires. You got to wait for these interviews. Good stuff.
And Dan, I finally figured out who Bernie Sanders' wife looks exactly like. We'll have the answer coming up. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. 36 degrees. Today is February 2nd, the day at least one groundhog is shoved out of his hole looking for his shadow. Donald Trump is congratulating Texas Senator Ted Cruz for winning the Iowa Republican presidential caucuses.
God bless the great state of Iowa.
Trump finishing second, only 1 percentage point ahead of Florida Senator Marco Rubio.
Well, I have to start by saying I absolutely love the people of Iowa. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Candidate Mike Huckabee has suspended his campaign after a poor performance. The chairwoman of the Iowa Democratic Party said last night's caucuses were historic for them. It turned out to be the closest vote in Iowa Democratic caucus history. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the winner, they say, 49.9% of the vote, compared to Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders' 49.6%.
Iowa, thank you.
After the vote count, former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley dropped out of the Democratic race. Republicans in the House of Representatives will try today to overturn President Obama's veto of a bill gutting the Affordable Care Act. The measure also strips federal funding for Planned Parenthood. A Pennsylvania judge could decide today whether to dismiss sexual assault charges against Bill Cosby. The comedian's lawyers claim a deal with the former DA gives Cosby immunity from prosecution. A huge new storm expected to bring fierce weather to the Southwest Plains, Midwest, and the Deep South. The storm will dump as much as 1.5 feet of snow along a 1,600-mile stretch.
What we're going to see overnight is the storm system develop heavier snow into northwest Kansas and across southern and eastern Nebraska, and then eventually by early morning that'll streak into west and northwest Iowa.
Rich Thompson is the lead forecaster with the National Weather Service in Norman, Oklahoma. An uncomfortable story we're following this morning. 4 Oklahoma high school wrestlers are charged with rape of 2 teammates. Charges filed Monday accuse the 4 of sexually assaulting a 16-year-old boy and a 12-year-old boy. Investigators say the alleged victims were raped by instrumentation on a bus bringing the varsity and junior varsity teams back from a tournament last month. Chicago police are looking for new clues after a Southside homeowner was shot and killed at his front door. Sandra Bland's family is asking a judge to reject arguments from Texas that the State Department of Public Safety reports related to that black woman's arrest, jailing, and death last summer should be withheld from them. And state police in Illinois approved far fewer concealed handgun permits last year than the year before, and local police say they filed more objections to applications that came in. Utah over the Bulls 105-96 last night in overtime. The news service of Lead Safe America. More than 1 in 3 American kids does have lead in their blood. No level of lead is safe. Lead poisoning causes learning disabilities and behavioral disorders. Has your child been tested? Learn more at leadsafeamerica.org. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The first votes of the 2016 campaign were finally cast in Iowa.
God bless the great state of Iowa.
And Ted Cruz emerged the winner.
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
Now the race shifts to New Hampshire.
On to New Hampshire.
And the first in the nation primary. Stay tuned to find out what happens next.
We are going to win this election for this country.
On your election station, AM 560. The Answer.
You'll never bite a burger better than a Bubba. From backyard barbecues to tailgating for the big game, Bubba Burger is always the quality and convenience you can trust. Find them in your local grocer's freezer today.
You don't have to be a retail giant or government agency to be the victim of a costly data breach. If you run a website and collect customer data, your small to mid-sized business is just as likely to be targeted by hackers. The Barracuda Web Application Firewall provides cost-effective instant security against automated and targeted attacks, making this WAF a must-have for your SMB. Reclaim your network. Try a Barracuda Web App Firewall risk-free at barracuda.com/WAF.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
5:37 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Let's get the very latest this morning with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. At Willow Springs Road is blocked between 79th and German Church Road. There's a tree down by some power lines. South side, fire at a motel, 65th and King Drive. Inbound Ryan, traffic is slow from the Stevens Center to downtown Chicago. About a 4 or 5 minute delay. Bishop Ford got a 2-minute delay. Cottage Grove to the merge. Traffic builds on the other expressways. There is some road work on the outbound Ryan. Express lanes are closed. Garfield to the Skyway till 6 a.m. Tollways are good. No problems to report in northwest Indiana. Traffic is a service of Jewel Osco. Get set to score 4 and save more at Jewel Osco. Mix, match, and save $4 instantly when you buy 4 selected products, including Oscar Mayer bacon, Kraft cheese, Gatorade, and more. There's no limit on the ways you save. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy, windy, rain developing today. Some sleet will be mixed in. High of 42. A couple of evening showers, otherwise cloudy and breezy. Low of 36. 36 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, well, hear about it from your friends. Find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So the headline in the Des Moines Register should be, Cruz defeats Terry Branstad. Well, the most popular governor in Iowa history, 6th term, longest-serving governor in American history. This is, again, why Cruz's victory, is so
bittersweet,
impressive.
yeah.
No, it's so impressive because, the governor of the state, who's very popular, took the opportunity to go after Cruz specifically and say, do not vote for this guy because he's not for the renewable fuel standard, ethanol subsidies.
Yeah, or he switched his vote, right, on ethanol. Reusable energy. Ted Cruz one time supported it, then was against it.
He opposed it.
Okay.
It was pretty clear, and he made that central that he wants a level playing field in the energy sector, and nobody should be getting special treatment from the federal government. Terry Branstad didn't like that. He took out after him. So Cruz's victory, it kind of breaks the seal on this idea that you have to go to the heartland, whether it's Iowa or Central and Southern Illinois, for that matter, and pander to farmers who benefit from the ethanol subsidies. So, I mean, that's another kind of subtextual storyline. But on the other side...
Oh, a lot of drama on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
Drama. I don't know if you watched this, but Hillary Clinton abruptly came in and spoke last night, and she didn't claim victory, but she thanked everyone for coming out and that they're going to do really well and we're going to have a great presidential race.
She came just short of saying,
I'm the winner?
Yeah, she came just short of it. But
she wanted to get out of there is what she wanted, to thank her supporters and get on a plane and head to New Hampshire.
But, did you see the speech?
Uh-huh.
She was like Howard.
She was energized.
She was like Howard Beale in a pantsuit.
Oh,
She was, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. Oh, really? Listen to this. And remember the expression on her face.
Okay.
It wasn't smiley.
Well, at times it was smiling, and other times she was angry. It was, she's she's a woman. We go through different emotions.
It was this close to Howard Dean.
And I know what we are capable of doing. I know we can create more good-paying jobs and raise incomes for hardworking Americans again. I know that we can finish the job of universal health care coverage for every single man, woman, and child.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
I know we can combat climate change and be the clean energy superpower of the 21st century. I know we can make our education system work for every one of our children, especially those who come with disadvantages. I know we can make college affordable and get student debt off the backs of young people. And I know we can protect our rights, women's rights, gay rights, voting rights, immigrant rights, workers' rights.
Anybody she leave off? Yeah.
She forgot about transgender rights.
She did. And that was
come
very
on, Hillary, get with
discriminatory.
it.
That's Hillary
There was
Clinton.
a calmer portion of her / quote-unquote victory speech.
I will always work to achieve the America that I believe in, where the promise of that dream that we hold out to our children and our grandchildren never fades.
And Hillary was Chelsea was standing behind her, pregnant, with child. Bill Clinton was standing behind her. So it was a
couldn't be less authentic.
Ebb and flow of emotions.
She is detritus. She is a cancer on the body politic. There is not an iota of authenticity, except to the extent there is visceral anger and disgust with America, including many of those supporters she has.
Well, the supporters that she has are not the young people that she's been going after. Yeah. She had the blue hairs, the old people, the people that went, from the homes to the caucuses, and then they took them back on a bus.
Right.
Those were her supporters.
The Betty Friedan set. No, I got it. The Bella Abzugs of the world. I'm
the people who said I need
that.
a chair, I'm not going to be able to stand up the whole time.
And Bernie Sanders, he had an exciting night as well, and he's got a lot of enthusiasm behind him with apparently half the Democratic Party coming out of the closet and embracing socialism. That's what I mean, that closet.
Well,
Whereas they pretend that they're not socialists, that they're progressives. If somebody could tell me the difference between a socialist and progressive, or a socialist and a Democrat, I'm in the Chris Matthews camp. Somebody on that side explain to me what the difference is, because it's baffling to me. I don't see a scintilla's worth of difference. But Bernie Sanders had something to say last night, too, and he deserved the stage. Statistical dead heat with Hillary Clinton, even to this morning, where a formal declaration of Hillary's victory has not been offered.
Solidified?
Yeah, it has not been announced yet.
The people of Iowa have sent a very profound message to the political establishment.
And Bernie said this as well.
We had no political organization. We had no money. We had no name recognition. And we were taking on the most powerful political organization in the United States of America.
Feel the burn.
Yeah, feel the burn. Do you see so many of those stickers in Chicago driving around? I see them everywhere now. Feel the burn, and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, well, I don't go to Lakeview.
Well,
I don't want to be surrounded by socialists.
But they've all dumped Hillary, and they're all on this Bernie bandwagon.
Something that's really fun. Yesterday, before the caucuses, Roger Simon from Pajamas Media went to a Bernie Sanders MoveOn.org event.
Was he the oldest person there?
No, but most of the people he interviewed were fairly young. Some of them were costumed, so it was difficult to discern their
furries?
age.
Were they furries?
No, they were, I don't know, like...
Furry convention or a Comic-Con?
Mr. Corporate Avenger or something like that. I don't know exactly. Some of the costumes were strange. Bernie Sanders, he's going to attract some interesting individuals. Bernie, but Roger Simon interviewed some of these folks, the Bernie backers, because he wanted to understand
who they are.
He wanted to understand their opposition to billionaires and how refreshing it is that Bernie Sanders is finally sticking it to the billionaires. Listen to some of these Roger Simon interviews.
Now, I noticed on the Bernie literature for this event that it's opposing billionaires in American politics. How do you feel about that?
I think it's about time someone stood up to the billionaires, and I think that it's time they start paying their fair share of taxes so we can get free public college and everything Bernie's standing for.
The government has helped the billionaires for time and time. Over again for the past years, we bailed out the banks, we did all of this, and now it's their time to help out the middle class, which they have destroyed.
We don't like billionaires. No, we're coming for them.
Definitely. It's his whole stance is how he wants to get money out of politics and prevent the billionaire class from having all the power and influence in politics that they currently have.
So that was the first round of interviews.
And these people were in costume or sans costume?
No, it was a mix.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing to do now, though, on college campuses. You dress up like animals.
Go to a Bernie Sanders rally? No, I know.
Or you go to a football game in costume. It's really weird.
So there was their opening salvo against the billionaires in support of Bernie, also against the billionaires. Remember, this was a MoveOn.org event. So there was a follow-up question.
Dump Trump the chump.
And this event is sponsored by MoveOn.org?
Yes.
Are you members?
No, I'm not a member. I've recently just heard.
Yeah, I'm a member too. We're members.
I'm sure we've used MoveOn.org. We appreciate that he... Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure we are.
MoveOn, what is it, an app?
Well,
I'm sure we've used MoveOn.org.
So MoveOn.org is funded by billionaires.
Yeah, but the kiddies don't know
like
that.
George Soros. And as the interviews went on, they were asked about that. Do you know about this? And none of them knew, and you got me on that one, and so on and so forth. It's very much, it's like jaywalking. It's like a Jay Leno skit, which Roger Simon from Pajamas Media did. I just think it's instructive. And then one of the individuals that was interviewed, well, I guess it's okay because these billionaires are doing something good. Well, and isn't this the great philosophy of the left? I have this set of values, but if the people that I support violate those values, well, it's okay because they agree with me. Now, if somebody else is doing the same thing on the other side, they're by definition bad because they're not doing what I want them to do, even though they're doing the same thing that I'm supporting. So the Koch brothers are bad. George Soros is good because they're advancing what I think is right, the free stuff I want at somebody else's expense versus a different view of how civilized society should be organized. I just think it's instructive because it's the hypocrisy, the solipsism of the left on display, and I appreciate the Bernie Sanders folks for participating.
And you know how I've been trying to figure out who Bernie Sanders' wife looks exactly like? Yeah. Her name's Jan Sanders. Have you seen her?
Yes.
Yeah. So
she's striking.
No, she's, I don't want to get catty, but anyway, I figured out who she looks like. She is Lieutenant Glenowitz's widow. She looks exactly like Melanie Glenowitz.
Yeah, I can kind of see that, actually. That's not bad.
Because, Melanie got a new hairdo and some Botox and makeup done for her mugshot. I think they might be cousins separated at birth.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today, cloudy and windy. That wintry mix is not going to happen until later today, later this afternoon. It will continue through the day and into the evening. A high today of 42 degrees. And then tomorrow, considerable cloudiness, breezy with a snow shower, a high of 37. Let's see how the roadways are doing. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. There's some fog and mist. Allow extra following distance. Get some slippery spots out there. Inbound Eisenhower, a little slow now. Manheim to First Avenue. 31 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Inbound Stevenson, got a 1 or 2 minute delay between Pulaski and Kedzie. Ryan has a 4 or 5 minute delay from Stevenson to downtown Bishop Ford. 4 minute delay, 103rd to the merge. It's a little heavy on the inbound side of I-57. Tollways are still fine. No problems to report in northwest Indiana. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Chicago winters are brutal. But when you're homeless, they can be life-threatening. At 54, Trudy fell on hard times and ended up living on the streets. On cold winter nights, Trudy says the trick was to sleep on empty milk cartons to keep her body from freezing on the frozen ground. Well, thankfully, Trudy found Franciscan Outreach. Franciscan Outreach provides people who are homeless with hot meals, a warm bed, access to health care, and the support needed to improve their lives. Today, with the help of Franciscan Outreach, Trudy is employed, has permanent housing, and sleeps in her own warm bed on cold winter nights. Please find a home in your heart for those who are homeless. Visit franoutreach.org to find out how you can help. Your gift will help improve the lives of hundreds of people like Trudy every day. franoutreach.org. Make a difference today.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you had questions about purchasing a home, you called me and I helped you. When you and your parents had questions about reverse mortgages, you called me and I helped you. When you needed help refinancing to lower your mortgage payments so you could afford the home after your spouse passed away, you called me and I helped you. If you'd like to talk to me about a mortgage, give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Email me, david@pearldavid.com. That's david at PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA, NMLS 19186, pearlmortgage.com, license financing.
One of the first things you do when you know friends and family are coming over is panic. You need to clean up because your guests will remember if your home isn't tidy. So when it comes to your office space, the same holds true. You don't want your clients and customers to remember you for the wrong reasons. But who has the energy to maintain that great impression? Image One does. Image One is the difference maker when it comes to making that positive and lasting impression. The Image One team are your trained and certified cleaning impression experts for retail establishments, office and office buildings, schools, healthcare facilities, auto dealerships, and manufacturing. Image One is upgrading impressions all over Chicagoland. Call now for your impression evaluation with Image One, 630-616-1010. That's 630-616-1010 or online at imageonechicago.com. As the saying goes, you only get one chance to make that first impression. Make sure your impression is an Image One impression. Image One, 630-616-1010. Franchise opportunities are available. imageonechicago.com.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
So you were at a Ted Cruz rally last night.
I did. I spoke at a Cruz rally in Elmhurst. A couple hundred people turned out. And, very much like Cruz said, actually, in his victory speech, that this was a victory for the grassroots. It really is. I mean, the Cruz delegate slate and the Cruz supporters that were out last night, just representative sample. These are not the fortunate sons of the Illinois Republican Party, such as it is. I don't know why you'd want to be a fortunate son of the Illinois Republican Party. But yeah, there was a lot of enthusiasm and excitement and a good cross-section of folks, and it was a lot of fun.
How long did you speak for, and did you speak as long as Ted Cruz did?
I did an impersonation of Cruz.
Uh-huh.
I grabbed a woman from the audience, and I kept mauling her like Cruz mauled his wife, and I spoke for about 6 hours. I just finished about 30 minutes before the show.
That's why he came in here, yeah. Hair tussle. But Ted Cruz, he did deliver a 42-minute and 10-second victory speech.
That's only how long it was?
Yeah.
It felt much longer.
It did.
It was too long.
Well, it was a little folksy. It was a little preachy. He was grabbing his wife. He was just hugging people hard. He was, and he deserves it. He deserves an evening to celebrate.
I understand, but, he's been a very disciplined, focused candidate, and that's why he won Iowa, frankly. He should be as focused and disciplined the victory speech and understand this is a 15, 20-minute on the outside exercise to frame the race going forward into New Hampshire. It just was too much, in my opinion. And that's as a Cruz supporter.
Yeah, you're a Cruz supporter, but he really, really loves his wife.
During the course of this campaign, people have asked Heidi and me, "Are you tired?" And I will admit, it is 16, 18 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. We are not tired at all.
And that's when he put his meat hooks around her. He's like, "We're not tired at all."
By the way, Donald Trump still continues to suffer some slights in Hollywood. Trump's Hollywood star was vandalized with a black spray-painted swastika. So it'd be interesting how Trump supporters react to his treatment going forward into New Hampshire and the subsequent states, and how the media treats Trump going forward as well.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You're a physician, a nurse, or in the medical field. You have a sick patient who requires a custom, non-sterile compounded medication. This is some big news. You can refer with confidence your patients to Martin Avenue Pharmacy in Naperville, the first and only compounding pharmacy in DuPage, Kane, Kendall, LaSalle, DeKalb, and Western Will County to earn the Pharmacy Compounding Accreditation Board's seal of accreditation. The first and only. Patients and medical professionals want to know their compounding pharmacy is of the highest quality and has been independently verified. PCAB offers patients and medical professionals a way to verify that their compounding pharmacy is meeting the very highest and strictest national standards. When you know the difference, it makes a difference. Martin Avenue Pharmacy in Naperville, a PCAB accredited compounding pharmacy, 630-355-6400, or go to martinavenue.com.
We make it better, like nobody else. We make it better, Martin Avenue.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com. The stock market seems like it's in turmoil. 2016 has already proven to be a roller coaster ride. Is there another big correction on the horizon? Are you prepared? Or are you at the mercy of stockbrokers if it does happen? Let Online Trading Academy teach you how to navigate the stock market during these changing times. They offer professional trading and investing education for every skill level. They'll teach you a rules-based strategy, trading on knowledge, not speculations, so you can identify market changes before they happen. Online Trading Academy has a state-of-the-art educational facility, centrally located in Lombard. Call today, 888-601-TRADE. That's 888-601-8723 to attend a free half-day course. Call now and mention you heard this message on AM 560 The Answer, and they'll send you home with a free home video study course, valued at $247, just for attending. This is a great opportunity to learn from the pros. Reservations are limited, so call now, 888-601-8723, or online at freeotaclass.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
CTU rejects CPS contract, and CPS runs out of money February 12th. Reality beckons at 6:06.
And Allie G's family gets a break. We'll explain. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a murder spike spills over into February, and the Jazz turn back the Bulls in overtime. Cloudy, windy day ahead. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. Iowans caucused for Cruz. In record numbers, Ted Cruz wins the Republican vote. Democrats leave Hillary Clinton.
Breathing a big sigh of relief. Thank you, Iowa.
But she barely leads Bernie Sanders. Fox's Rachel Sutherland was at his headquarters, now joins us live from Des Moines.
Dave, Iowa's Democrat Party says Clinton has an insurmountable lead over Sanders in the state's caucuses, but stopped short of officially declaring her the winner, both sounding victorious last night.
I am excited about really getting into the debate with Senator Sanders about the best way forward to fight for us and America.
Sanders also thanked his supporters.
It looks like we'll have about half of the Iowa delegates.
In at least 3 precincts, the outcome was so close that party officials ordered a coin toss. Dave?
Now, Rachel Martin O'Malley's ended his campaign on the Democratic side, so has Republican Mike Huckabee after finishing a distant 9th in what ended up a 3-man race. Fox's Tanya J. Powers was at Cruz headquarters, now joins us live from Iowa.
Many in the crowd in Cruz country, as they called the fairgrounds last night, told me they expected their candidate to do well here.
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
Donald Trump may have been handed second place to Cruz's win, but he remains confident he'll be the nominee.
I'm just honored. I'm really honored.
Undecided voters who cast votes for Marco Rubio are being credited with giving him a strong third-place finish.
I will be our nominee, thanks to what you have done here in this great state.
The candidates now head to New Hampshire, Dave.
Now, Tanya, Iowa's about to be snowed in by a storm that has warnings from Utah to Michigan. It'll be a blizzard in several states, dumping at least a foot of snow. Later this hour, a rodent will predict how much winter we have on this Groundhog Day. Also in Pennsylvania today, Bill Cosby's lawyers will try to get the first criminal case against the comedian and his sex assaults thrown out. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Cloudy and 36 degrees. On this February 2nd, Groundhog Day for some. 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Chicago's interim police superintendent says right now he doesn't know why homicides and shootings climbed so dramatically in January compared with the same month last year.
Right now, we honestly don't have one answer or two answers that we can point a finger at and say this is what's causing it.
Interim Superintendent John Escalante. Chicago had 29 homicides last January, 51 this January. The bargaining team of the Chicago Teachers Union has given a thumbs down to a 4-year contract offer. AM 560's David Stewart gets reaction.
The deal would have given teachers modest raises and a freeze in layoffs, but required them to pay more into their pensions and more for health care. Union President Karen Lewis says it's a matter of trust.
In our last agreement, we had language that looked pretty good, but they were able to get around it and do other things that negated the strength of our contract. People feel the same way now.
Rejection sets the stage for the next step in bargaining called fact-finding, but it also starts a 105-day countdown clock toward a strike. David Stewart, Chicago.
The FBI investigating the robbery of a U.S. bank branch in west suburban Naperville. The holdup happened yesterday evening. The branch located in the 3100 block of West 111. An Aurora City Council member accused of shoplifting for the second time in 3 years. 10th Ward Alderman Lynn Johnson was arrested Sunday and charged with retail theft. Police say a Meijer employee saw her pocket close to $60 worth of store property in August of 2013. Johnson pleaded guilty to taking $150 worth of cosmetics and food from the same store. Utah beat the Bulls 105-96 in overtime. Women's college baskets, Ohio State continues their winning string over the Fighting Illini with an 82-70 win. The news service of Boys and Girls Clubs of America. It's 3 p.m. School's out for America's kids, and when school's out, clubs are in. It's time to support Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit greatfutures.org. A check of traffic and weather for you coming up next on AM 560.
Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. So you get yourself one of those blood tests with all the poking and prodding. They're always looking for some kind of bad news. Most blood tests these days are very lacking, only screening you for the big, bad, and ugly diseases, and with you never really getting the good news, or even knowing what to do with the not-so-good news. So let me tell you about our dirt-cheap comprehensive blood test. First of all, we'll be testing a wide variety of different health factors, and not just the ugly few. And then we're going to sit down with you and strategize with all the we learned from your blood test findings. And I promise that you're going to know more about what you can do to help improve your health using a more natural, common sense approach. And for over 33 years, we've been very successful at setting people free from their toxic medications. It's our dirt cheap, comprehensive blood test. Call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. That's 800-794-1855. Be sure to tune in to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
Control, this is QL1. Side hatch is secure. QL1, this is Control. We copy, showing normal cabin pressure. Over. Control, this is QL1. Do you like mortgages? That's a negative, QL1. Over. Control, do you like rockets? That's affirmative, QL1. Over. Do you like rocket mortgages? I'm listening. Over. Of course you are, Control. Everyone likes rockets. Control, Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience. Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage. Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
It is 6:06. Let's get an update on the roads in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Willow Springs Road is closed between 79th and German Church Road. Tree down on some power lines there. South side of Chicago, there's a crash, 69th and Stony Island. Edens is fine. The candidate delay-free for now. Inbound Eisenhower heavy, Manheim to first, 31 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound fine at 29. Inbound Stevenson, looking at a 2-minute delay from Pulaski to Cudsey. Ryan slow from Stevenson to the Burns Circle, 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 20 minutes, remaining 94 to the Ryan. Traffic is a service of Compassion International. Almost 1 billion children around the world live in extreme poverty. You can change or even save the life of one of those kids. You become a sponsor with Compassion International. Find out how you can help at compassion.com/radio. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, cloudy and windy with rain developing. There may be some sleet mixed in. High today, 41. Couple of evening showers, otherwise cloudy tonight with a low of 36. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
34 at O'Hare, 36 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560 The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshale Financial Group.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again?
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
They told me that we have no chance because my hair wasn't gray enough and my boots were too high.
And tonight, while the results are still not known, it looks like we are in a virtual tie.
I am excited about really getting into the debate with Senator Sanders about the best way forward to fight for us and America.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Amy, a tweet from our friend John Lott suggesting that Hillary Clinton won 6 of the 6 coin flips in these caucus sites on the Democrat side yesterday. They were tied, so they flipped a coin, and she won 6 out of 6.
Maybe it was a two-sided coin.
Bingo.
Hey,
that's exactly where I was going.
Statistically speaking, that's almost impossible. Because wouldn't it be,
it's a 50-50 every time.
50-50 every time. I know. Well, she got lucky. Lady Luck was on her side.
It's true. I think that's exactly what President Obama is going to do in terms of deciding whether or not to green light a prosecution of her.
And guess what else happened? This morning, she saw her shadow. So 6 more days of winter. 6 more weeks.
How dare you? You're comparing Hillary Clinton to a groundhog, to Puxatawny Phil?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that, like you, she doesn't see gender. But,
exactly.
So the part is fine, but that is just sick.
She crawled out of her hole this morning and saw the shadow.
Oh boy, you're going to have the Cackle Caucus in Lakeview to answer to for that kind of incendiary rhetoric.
But that's great. I mean, it should be no surprise there was a coin toss because remember we talked yesterday about my ex-father-in-law and how he was in charge of a caucus and they would do rock, paper, scissors, or they would try to persuade people with Iowa Hawkeye football tickets, or we'll make you a great meal. Come on over to our side. So they do things differently in Iowa.
You know what they should do? I mean, this is just spitballing, just some ideas.
Yeah. What else do you think
for the Democrats next time for the ties?
Yeah.
Take 2 of the most gruesome feminists at the particular caucus site and just have them do like a fight club, like a death match.
Your cage match, 2 go in, 1 comes out.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? Make it sporting for the caucus goers.
Who knows? It could happen.
In other
crazy
in other news,
Kit Kat.
Something local. We got problems locally in Chicago. I don't know if you've noticed in Illinois generally. Yesterday, we had Jesse Sharkey on the show last week saying, their negotiations were ongoing between the Chicago Teachers Union and the Chicago Public School management.
Yeah, and he sounded pretty positive.
Oh, sure.
No, it was one of our more positive conversations we've had with him.
It was lovely.
I thought.
It was lovely.
Oh, okay, Grandma Jenny.
I recall it fondly. The problem is, at the end of the day, CTU rejected the CPS contract offer yesterday. Karen Lewis saying the cuts they're asking for will not solve the problems. So what we're looking for is sustainable funding, which means serious revenue. At least she's honest about it. Remember, Jesse Sharkey, he actually gave us a number. How much more does CPS need? They spend $15,000 per kid right now. How much more do you want to make it all better, to start churning out educated children, all 400,000, ready to go tackle the world? And he said, maybe another $1 billion, another $4,000 per kid.
But even the best school districts in Illinois don't spend that much money on their children.
A lot of them don't. That is correct.
And you've got the secret list that you only share if people text in and ask.
Yeah, if you want to know about your school district, I can tell you what the per pupil spending is, as well as the funding source, local property taxes versus state and federal, because that's the other thing about CPS, one of the few school districts that is majority funded by the state. So you think, I don't have to worry, that's Chicago, whatever. Yeah, you live in Mundelein, you live in Cairo, you live in Springfield, you're funding CPS. In fact, a lot of school districts that have substantial percentages of students who qualify for the free or reduced school lunch, so low-income families, students from low-income families, they're still subsidizing CPS. This is the kind of upside-down nature of the school funding formula in this state and the quality of K through 12 education, interestingly. But here's what the teachers rejected. Teachers would have received 2.75% raise next year and then 3% for each of the next 2 years.
That's not bad.
3% is what?
Don't ask me to do math.
6 times the rate of inflation last year. They would also continue to receive step and lane raises for experience and added education through June of 19, so through the life of the contract. But CPS, here's the rub.
That's the thing.
They wanted teachers to pay their entire 9% pension contribution, including the 7% the district agreed to fund years ago. So right now, CPS teachers pay 2% of their salaries to their guaranteed 7-figure pensions. And CPS is proposing they ultimately pay the total 9%.
Yeah, that they foot the bill themselves.
Yeah, and it's
personal responsibility.
And it's kind of a step to get to the 9%. Veteran teachers would start paying 3.5% more starting in July, and then the whole 7% that they're not paying right now.
I had a teacher yesterday
17.
say to me, "Well, I chose Chicago Public Schools because of the 9% pension contribution. I didn't go to Glenview or to Mount Prospect because I wanted that."
That's inspired. So you got into teaching for the pension pickup.
Well, no, he loves what he does, and he's good at his job, I think, and the students love him. But that's the reason why he chose CPS over other school districts.
Well, that's fascinating. The problem is if I chose
it's
to
not sustainable.
Well, right. I chose to work for Company A rather than Company B. Well, Company A that I chose to work for is in financial dire straits, and so now Company A can no longer abide the compensation package that I thought I was going to get working for Company A. So you have a choice. You can continue to demand what Company A promised you in perpetuity, which is silliness. You can leave, or you can be relieved of your position. And this is where this is going. And the question, but that's part of the question, because what I understand is that CPS is going to run out of money on February 12th. Like there was communication sent to employees that we are not going to meet payroll after be able to meet payroll after February 12th.
So you'll have to work without getting a paycheck. And they're not going to do that. Instead, they're going to go on strike.
Well, the teachers can't go on strike until May. Now that they rejected this contract offer, there's a 105-day clock that tolls. So they could go on strike as soon as mid-May.
And then we're out the third week in June.
Yeah,
so.
Here's the problem. What is CPS even doing offering this kind of contract? They run out of money on February 12th.
Right.
Where does the money come from?
But they're also looking for 1,500 teachers to retire, giving them $1,500 per year that they've worked. So they're trying to get out the older teachers and bring in the new. And that's, where's that money going to come from?
Reality beckons. You think you can just pound your fist on the table and demand what you want again on a go-forward basis without any consideration for what that district has become financially and in every other way. Okay, well, we're going to see. By the way, here's another interesting thing. Just to tell you, CPS management, this shouldn't surprise anyone. It is Politburo-style central planning, and it's about as effective as the agrarian co-ops in the Soviet Union were. Now, listen to this from somebody on the inside. 21% of schools, this is 21 schools are only 49% utilized. Fenger High School, for example, on the south side. Remember Fenger because of Darian Albert, that kid that was beaten to death?
Oh, so sad.
Fenger High School, which is like 112th and Wallace, south side of Chicago. It was built for 2,800 students, has an enrollment of 216.
That's all that's left, Fenger?
Only 40% show up daily. So basically, there's 100 students there on a daily basis in a high school built for 2,800.
Oh, they're going to have to close that high school.
Oh, wait. You don't close schools.
You have to.
No.
If enrollment's that.
No.
I mean, it's not cost effective. With the
no kidding.
Electric bill, the water bill, heating costs.
Not cost effective. That's CPS's calling card. And that's a generous way to put it on top of that. Jim in South Elgin, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, everybody. Part of the problem with the pension plan is these are these outdated defined benefit plans that a lot of companies had to ditch. Part of that is because, like a lot of what government does, they change the rules in the middle of the game. When the NFL, for example, made it the 2-point conversion rule, like the colleges do, they waited till the season was over. Say, okay, from this season forward, we're going to have the 2-point rule. And what they should have done with these plans, that okay, from this point, like this going back to like the 80s and 90s and stuff. From this point forward, any defined benefit plan will stay under their old rules. But any new plan form will have to conform to these new funding.
Yeah, the idea of there's a new deal at some date certain. You get the benefits you earn, but at some date certain, prospectively, there's a new deal. Everybody understands what the new deal is and the new responsibilities on both sides, management and labor. And it's just not going to be as generous as the deal that you had been operating under. You're going to get paid what you earned. But what you have not earned yet, because you haven't worked those hours to accrue those benefits yet, there's a new deal. Thanks for the call, Jim. I mean, I don't understand what's so unfair about that, honestly. I don't understand what's so complicated about that. Then you have a horizon to say July 1 of 2016 or 2017, there is a new deal coming, and here are going to be the terms. So then you have a year and a half to say, if I don't like the new deal, then I parachute out. If I want to stay and work under the new deal, then I stay. What is unfair? What is unreasonable? What is disrespectful to teachers about that?
They think that they don't have what the suburban schools have. We don't have computers. We don't have some desks that work. I mean, the infrastructure of every Chicago public schools, whether you're on the south side, west side, or north side, are all the same. They're falling apart,
Why
Dan.
is that? $5.5 billion a year, $15,000 per kid, which is more than is spent in Wheaton-Warrenville high school district where I grew up, which is a pretty good high school. All the kids are going to college, and it's got all the bells and whistles. So what's happening at CPS that isn't happening at other school districts that spend less money?
But it's weird because we had a south side team come and play our school. You know what the kids said when they walked in our gym? They thought, God, we thought the north side, that it would be better here. And it's the same exact gym and the same size as our gym.
Right, as I said.
Because fraudulent spending. And who pays for it? The kids pay for it. And the teachers get angry because they don't have the same tools that other teachers have in surrounding suburbs.
This just in, central planning doesn't work. Mike on the north side. Hey, Mike.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. So I got a couple things, Dan. The city has the money. Well, the city has the money. It's called TIF funds. But instead of spending it on education or spending it rightly on education, they spend it on the daily Veneco friends, felons, and family plan.
Yeah.
Also, there's an untapped source. If you need more money, go to the parents. The parents living in big houses. The parents driving expensive SUVs. The parents with 3 link cards.
Yeah,
but,
but enough about Amy. Thanks for the call, Mike.
Some parents have money and some donate generously to our school, like every computer.
On the issue of the TIF funds, Mike has a point regarding TIF abuse, because there is TIF abuse. Mm-hmm. But you're still talking about what is in the TIF funds right now in the city. I don't know what the last count was. I remember it being somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million.
So each alderman gets a certain amount of TIF funds that they determine where it's spent?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, to some extent, there's a feudal aspect of it, but that's not technically how it works. But the point is that there is this stash of cash in TIF funds, but it is not enough to make CPS, the math at CPS, work. I will tell you that. Chuck in Delavan, Wisconsin.
I remodel a lot of public schools. That's what I do. Back in the 90s, you could get a hold of somebody that was a building engineer. They took all the janitorial staff and cook staff away from the building engineers and gave it to the principals, and it gave them a $25,000 a year raise. Now, they were in charge of the principal was in charge of all of them older this time. ARA, Mark, 2 years ago, signed a contract with the schools for $743 million to take care of the janitorial service and be in charge of the cooks and the food and everything like that. They never took that $25,000 out of the principal's wages. So I just found millions. So if you could start investigating that and checking that out, that's money that's there that shouldn't be given to the principals.
Thanks for the call, Chuck. Appreciate it. And we just reported last week, $875 million bond issue. That had to be rescinded because the market spit it back out. So here's the reality. CPS can either choose to put their system to a market test, or it is going to be forced upon them. And if it is forced upon them, people are going to be hurt. And they're going to be hurt worse than if you would have taken constructive steps. So the funny thing is, with respect to teachers and so many in CPS, I'm on their side. People advocating my view are on your side. You're not.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Forecast for today, it's going to be cloudy, windy, rain developing, and it's going to be consistent throughout the day. Some sleet by the afternoon, a high of 42 degrees. A couple of evening showers tonight, and tomorrow, considerable cloudiness, breezy with a snow shower, dusting up to an inch, a high of 37 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Good morning. Happy Catholic Schools Week. On the Edens inbound, it's heavy from Peterson to the junction. 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound fine at 19. The Kennedy runs 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 21. The Eisenhower, slow Mannheim to Harlem, 36 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound still fine at 29. Stevenson with delays starting at Central, 40 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan is 19 minutes, 95 to downtown. Bishop Ford just a little slow approaching the merge with about a 5-minute delay starting before 403rd. I-57 very heavy, just approaching the Ryan around Halstead. Tollway's looking good right now. There is a crash in Lake Forest, southbound 41 at Town Line. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
So Puxatawny Hillary did not see her shadow, so...
Spring is going to arrive earlier.
Oh, that's good news. Text from 219 talking about CPS. A lot of people worked at Enron for the benefits, too. Indeed. Hi, it's Dan Proft. Do you know your numbers? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol number, but do you know your testosterone? I do. Low T Center makes it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and know your results within minutes. If you're a man over 40, like I am, and you've noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T makes you feel tired and grumpy, can raise your cholesterol and cause weight gain. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. A Low T Center takes just minutes for results, and services are covered by most health insurance. They now offer convenient and flexible hours as well, so do yourself a favor and get your levels checked at the Low T Center. Call today, 630-409-4305. That number, 630-409-4305, or visit lowtcenter.com and tell them Dan Proft sent you.
Hi, I'm Tom Sadeka, President and CEO of Precision Payroll of America. We're the 32-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. With me today is one heck of a great service partner.
Thanks, Tom. Hi, I'm Andrea Kashaba, owner of Tulane & Associates Accounting and Tax Services here in Elk Grove, servicing small businesses since 1986. I heard Precision Payroll ads years ago. I called on behalf of one of my clients. Tom came out, met with us. Since then, we've added 6 more clients and absolutely love working with Tom and Precision Payroll. As an accounting professional, I love having the connection with Precision Payroll as it makes serving my clients even easier.
Andrea, thanks for coming in and sharing our success story. You are awesome and a joy to work with. If you want to partner with us or work with us, call me directly at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. We're on the web at precisionpayroll.com.
The secret to how the rich keep getting richer is by passing down their wealth generation to generation. If you do the same thing, you'll be leaving a legacy and be doing one of the most important things possible for the people you love. The ugly truth is if you don't have an estate plan, everything you own, including your house, cars, investments, everything could be tied up in courts for a year or longer. It could cost your estate tens of thousands of dollars in probate and legal fees, even double government taxation. You can avoid this painful, costly mistake by contacting Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group. Tom hosts the Alpha Wealth Hour, heard Saturday mornings at 9 here on AM 560 The Answer, and has been a featured expert on Fox Business, Fortune, and Money Magazine. Right now, Alpha Wealth Group is offering you a free estate planning kit if you call 630-873-6326. That's 630-873-6326. Once again, 630-873-6326. 2026.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Here you go, Democrats. Failed mob banker Alexei Giannoulias, and his family, apparently too big to fail. They agreed to pay a $5 million penalty under a settlement with the FDIC for the failure of Broadway Bank. You remember Ali G, the failed mob banker, and Broadway Bank making loans to scumbag criminal mobsters like Jaws Durango. That all came out in the 2010 Senate race when Giannoulias was the Democrat nominee against Mark Kirk, this scumbag.
Well, didn't FDIC want $114 million?
Yeah, this was
from Ali G's family and from Broadway Bank.
Yeah, so we bailed out Broadway Bank. The Giannoulias family got golden parachutes, and they pay a modest $5 million penalty,
and that's
back to FDIC
probably
for what
insured.
They did.
That's probably insured. So are they going to have to pay any money?
For improper loans. FDIC had sued the Giannouliases and other defendants $114 million from damages from losses due to improperly made loans. And they get off for pennies on the dollar while they get away with tens of millions. Scumbags.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This Valentine's Day is all about showing that special someone how much you love them, and no good gesture goes unnoticed. But some loved ones this year, aside from the ones close to you, could use a little love from you too. 2-year-old Elliot Grants has been diagnosed with grade 4 glioblastoma, and he and his family could use your love and support at Austin's Fuel Room in Libertyville on Valentine's Day from 5 to 10 p.m. for their Grace of Grants event. Tickets include apps, drinks, and a live show from crooner Ron Hawking, but most importantly, the $125 price tag goes directly towards easing the financial burden that the Grants family has taken on as they spend their Valentine's Day fighting to keep their biggest love alive, well, and taken care of. Please join in their fight and show the Grants family what true love this Valentine's Day really looks like. For more info, please call 847-549-1972 or visit austinssaloon.com.
I'm amazed. I want to say thank you to Balance of Nature. You guys are awesome. God bless you. The reason I have so much enthusiasm is because I speak as a person who has investigated the things that are out there. What I see is that there's many, many people telling the same story, and it's ruining it for the people who really are true. You know, up until this point, I had a lot of doubt whether, you know, I have an instinct that there should be something you can spend some money on and get something good, and I hadn't found it, and I believe I have found it this time. So, again, awesome, and thank you.
The top 3 New Year's resolutions are health-related. Improve your odds by getting started early with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Ugh, need a cleansing breath from having to talk about the Giannouliases. All right, coming up at 6:36, our friend Bruce Dumont, host of Beyond the Beltway, that you can hear on Sunday nights right on these airwaves now, will join us live from Iowa with some color as to what went down last night.
And later, divvy, 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 can you see? We'll have the rest of the song coming
nobody
up.
Nobody does a Notorious B.I.G. like that.
First, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Well, did he or didn't he? You want to know? Groundhog's Day? Well, Puxatawney Phil emerged and failed to spot his shadow. That means we're in for an early spring, by the way, if the myth holds true. But if you look at long-term weather forecasts, we'll be in the 60s by the end of February. So maybe Phil is pointing towards something. Democrat presidential candidate Bernie Sanders says his razor-thin contest against Hillary Clinton in Iowa is basically a win, gives his campaign a kickstart.
It is just too late for establishment politics and establishment economics.
He says it shows the American people that his campaign can win. Sanders greeted early this morning in New Hampshire, where polls show the Vermont senator is leading Hillary Clinton, who says she is on the stump early.
And I am excited about really getting into the debate with Senator Sanders about the best way forward to fight for us and America.
Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz calls his victory over Donald Trump a victory for grassroots and part of a larger movement against Washington.
And tonight is a testament to the people's commitments, to their yearnings to get back to our core commitments, free market principles, constitutional liberties, and the Judeo-Christian values that built this great nation.
Donald Trump came in a disappointing second, Marco Rubio a close third.
In America, there are only two ways forward for us now. We can either be greater than we've ever been, or we can be a great nation in decline.
Martin O'Malley, Mike Huckabee both announced they have dropped out of the race after disappointing returns last night. We're monitoring a developing story in France this morning where 5 have been arrested just outside the city of Lyon, where they plan to stage attacks on night spots and then leave for Syria. Officials say 4 men and 1 woman were arrested early today. They had already bought their bus tickets to join Muslim extremists in Syria via Bulgaria and Turkey. Forecasters expect a powerful storm to dump 10 inches or more of snow on Denver and then put Iowa and Minnesota in its bullseye. Chicago's interim police superintendent says he's not sure why homicides and shootings climbed so dramatically in January.
Right now, we honestly don't have one answer or two answers that we can point a finger at and say this is what's causing it.
John Escalante says one concern is the significant decrease in the number of investigatory stops in January. That coincides with a change in policy regarding such stops. Officers must now fill out far lengthier documents than the brief contact cards they had previously used. And it's a win for those who drink beer this morning. The Czechs, the biggest beer consumers in the world, by the way, could soon have a reason to drink even more. The finance minister there proposing lowering the taxes on beer by more than half. Finance minister proposing to cut the value-added tax on draft beer to 10%. From 21%. Chicago sports, NBA, Utah over the Bulls in overtime, 105-96. The news service of the Foundation for a Better Life. Many rose up with violence. He sat down for peace. Mahatma Gandhi reached out with the strength he cultivated within his soul. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The first votes of the 2016 campaign were finally cast in Iowa.
God bless the great state of Iowa.
And Ted Cruz emerged the winner.
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
Now the race shifts to New Hampshire.
On to New Hampshire.
And the first in the nation primary. Stay tuned to find out what happens next.
We are going to win this election for this country.
On your election station, AM 560. The Answer.
Teach English to non-native speakers through Wheaton's Flexible Masters in TESOL. Meaningful internships are designed based on your interests. Apply by March 15th for the fall semester. Visit wheaton.edu/teachenglish.
Join Chambers 630 at the VIP Business Event of the Year for the Red Carpet Ball, celebrating the best of the best on February 20th at Hilton Lyle, Naperville. Red carpet, cocktails, raffles, dinner, and dancing. Visit chambers630.com to register.
Napa know-how. Right now at Napa, when you buy 5 quarts of Valvoline conventional oil for just $3.59 a quart, we'll give you either Chase Elliott, Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, or Casey Kane free by mail. Hey, wait, what? Well, that makes more sense. We'll give you a bobblehead of either Chase Elliott, Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, or Casey Kane free by mail. Valvoline for just $3.59 and a free bobblehead. That's Napa know-how. General states pricing, taxes, and recycling fees extra at participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 2/29/16.
Cornerstone National Bank believes trust, service, and relationship is the foundation of a business banking partnership. Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company, where you belong. Visit cornerstonenb.com. Member FDIC.
6:36 is our time. Let's get an update on your ride to work this morning. As always, in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center, here is Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning. We're seeing some tollway delays now. Northbound Tri-State, it's heavy from Ogden to 31st and stop and go from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Reagan Tollway, they're slowing. From the Veterans Memorial Tollway to Highland, the right shoulder's blocked. Police activity. And then northbound 355, it's a bit slow from Maple to the Reagan Tollway. Eden's inbound, stop and go 2 to the junction. 25 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 27 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 25. Eisenhower, 37 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 30. Stevenson, 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic service of Fix Auto Collision Centers. Crashed your car? You have a friend in the business with Fix Auto Collision Centers, with locations throughout Chicago. Call Fix Auto Collision Centers today at 1-800-INFO-FIX. 1-800-INFO-FIX. That's 1-800-INFO-FIX. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy, windy, rain developing. Watch out for the sleet mixed in. That could ice things up just a bit. High 42. 35 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Aging Info Radio. Heard Sunday mornings at 9, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, it's Dan and Amy, and boy, oh boy, the happenings in Iowa yesterday.
Isn't it fun? It's so exciting.
So many storylines.
Do you want to flip a coin on which we should talk about first?
Flip a coin the way they did for Hillary and Bernie to decide some of those caucus sites. Yeah.
6 precincts, there was a tie, so they flipped a coin. Heads win, and all 6 times Hillary Clinton came out ahead. Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Thank you.
The Clintons know how to flip the coin. There's no question about it. For more on what went down last night, we're now joined by our friend Bruce Dumont, host of the long-running Beyond the Beltway program, which you can now hear on these very airwaves Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Yay!
Woohoo!
Bruce Dumont, we're glad to have you both on this station as well as with us right now. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Great to be with you. It was quite a night. It was my first time attending a caucus, and I really enjoyed the process. I was able to look at the Democrats and the Republicans in the same Burlington High School, community high school.
Wow,
that's so great.
After all these years, a political potentate like yourself, your first Iowa caucus. So tell us what it was like at your caucus site.
It was terrific. When it got to the speaking, I was in the Republican caucus, and it's real people getting up from the audience, walking up. They're not professional speakers, obviously some better than others. Speaking with no notes. A lot of people literally were just moved to do it. And it was great. I mean, they were articulate. They were emotional. The one thing that surprised me, and maybe this was a forerunner of what would happen, is that clearly the Ted Cruz they were the most organized campaign at this precinct number 7 is where I was. But when it came time to have the official speakers, there was no official speaker for Donald Trump. There was no official speaker for Marco Rubio. And those that went and ultimately spoke for Trump and Rubio were real people who got up from the audience. But neither of the campaigns had organized that precinct so that somebody would really give a good talk. I mean, Cruz people certainly did. Even other people came up there. They were, not planned. But that was the first sign to me that Donald Trump may not have been as organized as he should have been, because I was kind of stunned by that. Yeah. And I was in eastern Iowa, southeastern Iowa, which is the more sort of blue-collar region of the state.
Well, what did the Donald Trump supporters say about his candidate?
He was the youngest speaker. He looked like a young businessman. He was the only one that didn't have a flannel shirt on. And he stumbled a little bit. He basically talked about that Donald Trump could win. I didn't see anybody. He didn't get a great amount of applause when he was done. Actually, there was only supposed to be one speaker for each candidate. But when people got up there and talked, there were a couple of people that were for Ted Cruz.
And at Burlington High School, which Republican candidate won that caucus site?
It was won the same way the state finished. It was Cruz had 45, Trump had 35, and Marco Rubio had 19, and Kasich and Christie got 1 vote. And then on the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton won Precinct 5. She won by 14 votes.
And now, describe the difference in terms of process, thus the vote counting, between the Republican caucus and the Democrat caucus.
Well, everyone, first of all, there were about 180 people there, so they ran out of little sheets of paper. But they elected a chairman, which was done easily, then a secretary, and then they invited people up who were for candidates. Ted Cruz's candidate representative was there first. He was very articulate, a young, passionate young man who was up there. And then a Rand Paul person came up, and then a person came up, and you would have thought visually that he might have been for Donald Trump, but he was for Carly Fiorina.
Oh, really?
And he made a very impassioned plea for her. So then everybody talks for about 3 or 4 minutes. Then they pass out little pieces of paper, literally. Go through the place passing out little pieces of paper. They said, please, only people that registered should take it. I mean, I was offered a piece of paper. I could have voted. I mean, there's not a lot of security here, but everybody was on the honor system. We were in Iowa, not in Illinois.
Yeah, I know.
I had the same dilemma in '88.
Well, this is the thing that's fascinating to me. I experienced what you're talking about in 2012, Bruce. The idea, it's so foreign because there's a culture of implicit trust there where there's a culture of explicit distrust in Chicago or Illinois.
Yes. No, that to me was the most surprising thing. Again, the from the heart talk from the people. All of them were very articulate and emotional in their own way. Then they passed the paper out, and then about 15 minutes later, they came back and they announced the results, and then they went into more party-related thing about when they're going to have their county convention and who gets the delegates, and then that was over. Now, on the Democratic side, I rushed out a little bit while they were counting the Republican votes. Over on the Democratic side, nobody even spoke. They just put people. They put people in the 2 areas. There were 2 votes for Martin O'Malley, and 1 went to Hillary, and 1 went to Bernie, and that was it. In fact, the Democrats were done almost 25 minutes before the Republicans, and everyone thought that.
Well, yeah, because
there must have been more Republicans than
no, because
Democrats.
there's no thinking going on the other side.
Hey,
that's why.
No, but if you had to look at the Republicans from that precinct you were in to the Democrats, how many Democrats were there compared to Republicans?
Well, the final vote was 67 to 55, so whatever that number is, a little over 110.
That's 122, I think. And
right.
Yeah.
And on the Republican side, I would say there was probably about 180. So there were definitely more. They were meeting in the library, and the Clinton people or the Democrats were meeting in the cafeteria, and everybody was well behaved. They all had their IDs out, and it was really homespun. It was, I've obviously watched it on C-SPAN, but I was very delighted that I was there. It was a great experience.
And so the arguments that you heard from surrogates for all the candidates, as you say, regular people just standing up and saying why I'm supporting Trump or Cruz or Rubio or whoever. Did they mirror what the candidates have said on the stump, kind of their closing arguments? Cruz, I'm the consistent conservative. Rubio, I'm the conservative peacemaker. Donald Trump, I'm going to make America great again. We're going to win all the time. Was it gradations of that, or did they have kind of different reasons that surprised you?
No, the Cruz spokesman, who clearly was prepared. I mean, he was there. He was hitting all of the major points. All of the major points. I would say that Rand Paul's guy also hit all the major Rand Paul points about basically, too much interventionism militarily. He talked about Rand Paul's ability to bring in minorities. He talked about overhauling the criminal justice system. Things you wouldn't necessarily think would have been brought up in a Republican primary, but he did. He said nobody can expand the base more than Rand Paul. So he made his point. He ended up only with 4 votes out of the crowd, and then there was a very impassioned plea, I think, for again from the audience. A woman came up and she spoke from the heart about Ben Carson. And then the moderator or the convener was basically said, "Does anybody else want to talk?" And this elderly gentleman gets up, and you didn't quite know where he was going. He gets up there, his jeans and his flannel shirt, and he makes this point. He says, "No one's spoken about Marco Rubio." And he says, I'm teetering between Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, but he said, I want someone to say some nice things about Marco Rubio, so I guess it's going to be me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And he talked about electability and his conservative values. And lastly,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, lastly, they said no one had spoken for Trump. So again, this young man, a little overweight, had a jacket on. One of the few people that had a jacket on. He went up there and he said he was probably stumbling the most for words, but again, he looked like a young businessman, and he just said, "I'm here because," he said, I want to defeat Hillary Clinton. We need an absolute winner. We may not have purity. We may not have the purity we want, but we absolutely need a winner." And but he had tepid response when it was all over.
Did anybody go after any of the other candidates, or was it all accentuating the positive?
No, it was all extenuating the positive, and the convener had made some comment about, we've seen the commercials, we know the negative side. Let's focus on the positive. So there was no tearing down of anyone else. It was a very genteel discussion of politics.
I'm glad you got to experience it.
He is Bruce Dumont, host of Beyond the Beltway, which you can now hear on these airwaves Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Bruce Dumont, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Folks, have a great day.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up, Divvy, can you see? Yeah, something new is coming to Chicago, and it's hot. But first, here's your forecast. No heat here. We're going to have cloudy and windy conditions, rain pretty much starting in a few hours, and it's going to last throughout the afternoon and into the evening. High today of 42, and then tomorrow, considerable cloudiness and breezy with a snow shower, a high of 37. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thank you very much, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. And welcome to Bruce Dumont as well. On the Edens inbound, we see delays from Toohey to the junction. 25 minutes like Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy is 28 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 25. The Eisenhower, 44 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 32. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, it's fine outbound. Bryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 23 minutes from I-80 to the merge. Northbound tri-state delays. Plainfield Road to 47th, then from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Reagan Tollway a little slow from 355 to Highland. Police have the right shoulder blocked. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Greece battling foreign creditors. SFX Entertainment declaring bankruptcy, and free airline snacks are coming back in coach class seats. Those stories next.
I remember the day when one of my best friends called and told me that his father had died. We cried together. This devastated his family. But even more devastating, they invested his death benefit in the stock market. And in the crash of 2008, they lost over $1 million. All of their hopes and dreams were shattered yet again. My name is Brent Tixon. After that market crash devastated my friend's family, I determined that would not happen to anyone else that I knew. After years of research, I did find a better way. So today, I'm giving you a free copy of my best-selling book, Secure Your Retirement Dreams with Safe Money. I reveal where the wealthy grow their money safely, get good rates of return, and get tax-free cash loans for retirement. All of this where you don't lose money in the market. If you're concerned about losing your hard-earned wealth in the next stock market crash, then call 1-800-391-0404 right now to get your free copy of Safe Money. The next 47 callers get free shipping and handling. No credit card required. Call 1-800-391-0404.
The Greek government has launched a new round of negotiations over the country's latest bailout. Union demonstrations continue as Greece fends off European creditors and the International Monetary Fund. New York-based SFX Entertainment has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. SFX is the company behind the Electric Zoo and Tomorrowland music festivals. Flying in coach to become more friendly as United Airlines is reverting to allowing families with children to board first, while American Airlines announced the return of free snacks in coach class for the first time in almost a decade. A huge investment fraud at China's largest online finance business, bilking 900,000 investors out of almost $8 billion. Please tune in to Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Running a business can be challenging, especially here in Illinois. You face mountains of regulations on top of mountains of taxes and fees, not to mention new Obamacare requirements. Business owners who manage to survive and thrive deserve to be recognized, and that's exactly what we here at AM 560 The Answer are going to do. This spring, we'll be hitting the road on the AM 560 Business Tour presented by Signature Bank. It's a way for us to celebrate local businesses who are overcoming the odds and succeeding in spite of the many challenges they face. We want to give back to the business community by broadcasting this show live from various locations throughout Chicagoland. Does your business have a great success story? If so, we want to hear about it. Go to 560theanswer.com/business. Fill out the brief form to tell us about you and your business and how you're beating the odds to serve your clients in your community. We'll select several businesses as stops on our AM 560 Business Tour, and we'll broadcast from your location to share your success story with our audience. We hope to inspire other business owners and show the world that, yes, you did build that. So go to 560theanswer.com/business to tell us your story. And we may be stopping at your location this spring on the AM 560 Business Tour, sponsored by Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream idea brought to you by the Illinois Opportunity Project. 27. Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent. So keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So Trump arguably stumbled down the stretch, not appearing at the debate, may have hurt him with late-breaking voters. Also, choosing Sarah Palin as his surrogate. Sarah Palin spoke at the Trump event, pre-caucus results and all that.
Warming up the crowd.
And she went after popular conservative Congressman Steve King supporting Ted Cruz. Listen to how this went over.
You guys will appreciate it because you're from Iowa. We got your good old representative, Steve King, friend of mine. I thought. Here I see that just a bit ago, somebody's showing me a story, he's accusing me on MSNBC, first MSNBC, really? I know, MSNBC, of selling my support to Mr. Trump. And this is why, when you read things like this is why people don't really like politics. They know that it's dirty business because people will say things that they know are untrue.
And she went on to say, Steve King, maybe he's inhaling too many ethanol fumes and stuff like that.
How did it go over?
Like a lead balloon. Silence at the Trump gathering.
Yeah, but Stephen King, the congressman, he's not the only person who thinks she's getting paid off down the road by Donald Trump. A lot of us people think that.
Well, whatever.
There's got to be something in it for her.
Perhaps, but the bottom line is I think Palin's market value is cratering.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, do you know my friend Laz Coulchar from Automated Systems, who sponsored and spoke at Freedom Summit and wowed the crowd with his story of escaping communism, coming to the U.S. and building a successful software and systems integration company? Here's Laz Coulchar to explain.
Thanks, Joe. I built my company to deliver solutions for industry's toughest automation challenges by giving clients customized solutions to make production lines, facilities, and plants run with less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. Our systems provide reliability and deep insight into our clients' manufacturing operations for companies of all sizes, from Fortune 500 life science to successful startups.
Thanks, Laz. If you even suspect that Automated Systems could benefit your company, then call him. There's no obligation. Call Laz at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit automatedsys.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
Hey, guys and gals, maybe we can't stop time, but the bags and puffiness under your eyes don't need to be there. And now, thanks to Genucell, you can definitely get rid of them. The new Genucell plant stem cell therapy for bags and puffiness under the eyes from our good friends at Chamonix is doing just that for men and women all across this great country. Why wait? Order it now and see the difference. Josie from Littlefield, Arizona writes, I've been using Genucell for 2 weeks and my husband is amazed. He says all the puffiness is gone. I love this product so much, I want to use it on my entire face. Well, Josie, your husband can use Genucell too. It works for men and women. In fact, with its Instant Effects, which is a separate product, you'll see results in as little as 12 hours, guaranteed, or your money back. So order Genucell right now and get the legendary Esotique Wrinkle Treatment Cream absolutely free with your order. Call 800-525-8323, 800-525-8323. Genucell works. Again, it's guaranteed or your money back. 800-525-8323. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Iowans caucused for Cruz.
And he's volunteered to be Donald Trump's Iowa real estate agent. Former state party chairman, state Republican Party chairman Matt Strawn joins us at 7:07.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say hello again to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, it's Groundhog Day, and the most famous rodent went looking for his shadow today. A murder spike spills over in Chicago into February. Mayor Rahm Emanuel's approval rating plummets. We'll give you the numbers. And an Aurora City Council member is accused of shoplifting again. Jazz turned back the Bulls in overtime last night. A cloudy, windy, rainy day developing. WIND Chicago News Time at the Tone, 7 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony.
I cannot wait to stand on that debate stage with Hillary Clinton.
Ted Cruz won big in Iowa, but she didn't.
Iowa, thank you.
Bernie Sanders virtually tied Clinton. We have two live reports from Des Moines. First, Tanya J. Powers on the record Republican voting.
Well, Ted Cruz, the winner with more than 40,000 votes cast for him.
The Republican nominee and the next president of the United States will not be chosen by the media.
Donald Trump finished second. He says he's ready to be the nominee.
And we will go on to easily beat Hillary or Bernie or whoever the hell they throw up there.
And Marco Rubio getting a big third-place showing.
I thank you, because tonight we have taken the first step.
The candidates will now head to New Hampshire. Fox's Rachel Sutherland is also here in Iowa. She's following the Democrats and was at Sanders' headquarters last night.
Tanya, Hillary Clinton is declaring victory.
Thank you, Iowa.
But the state's Democratic Party isn't ready to do that yet, instead saying she has an insurmountable, though narrow, lead over Bernie Sanders, who also sounded like a winner at his caucus watch party last night. He told his supporters that the people of Iowa sent a message.
To the political establishment, to the economic establishment, and, by the way, to the media.
People I talked to at the Sanders headquarters described his run for the White House not just as a campaign, but a movement, Dave.
Now, Rachel Martin O'Malley barely got any Democrat votes, and it's the end of the presidential road for him. He's dropping out, so is Republican Mike Huckabee. A famous groundhog of a weather forecaster says, get ready for an early spring. Punxsutawney Phil in Pennsylvania did not see his shadow. but it is a harsh winter day in a lot of America. Storm warnings from Utah to Michigan. It'll be a blizzard in several states. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
36 degrees, some clouds this morning, and a rainy and somewhat icy day ahead for spots. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott on AM 560 The Answer, and Chicago's interim police superintendent on the hot seat again this morning, saying he doesn't know why homicides and shootings climbed so dramatically in January compared with the same month last year.
Right now, we honestly don't have one answer or two answers that we can point a finger at and say this is what's causing it.
John Escalante saying yesterday one concern is the significant decrease in the number of investigatory stops in January. That coincides with a policy change. Chicago had 29 homicides last January, 51 this January. And Chicago police say they're looking for new clues after a Southside homeowner was shot and killed at his front door. The victim opened the door and was gunned down yesterday morning by two men in the 9000 block of South May. The bargaining team of the Chicago Teachers Union thumbs down to a 4-year contract offer. AM 560's David Stewart with the explanation why.
The deal would have given teachers modest raises and a freeze in layoffs, but required them to pay more into their pensions and more for health care. Union President Karen Lewis says it's a matter of trust.
In our last agreement, we had language that looked pretty good, but they were able to get around it and do other things that negated the strength of our contract. People feel the same way now.
Rejection sets the stage for the next step in bargaining called fact-finding, but it also starts a 105-day countdown clock toward a strike. David Stewart, Chicago.
Republican Governor Bruce Rauner wants lawmakers to address Illinois' worst-in-the-nation pension crisis right away. Despite a rare agreement between Rauner and Democratic Senate President John Cullerton, it's unlikely a bill will advance anytime soon. An Aurora City Council member is accused of shoplifting for a second time in 3 years. 10th Ward Alderman Lynn Johnson was arrested Sunday and charged with retail theft. Bulls beaten by Utah 105-96 in overtime. Women's college hoops, Ohio State with a good win over the Fighting Illini, 80-70. The news, a service of Fix Auto Collision Centers. Crash your car? You have a friend in the business with Fix Auto Collision Centers. Locations throughout Chicago. Call Fix Auto Collision Centers today. 800-INFO-FIX, 800-INFO-FIX, 800-INFO-FIX. 704, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The first votes of the 2016 campaign were finally cast in Iowa.
God bless the great state of Iowa.
And Ted Cruz emerged the winner.
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
Now the race shifts to New Hampshire.
On to New Hampshire.
And the first in the nation primary. Stay tuned to find out what happens next.
We are going to win this election for this country.
On your election station, AM 560. The Answer.
Winter weather is here, and this season's roller coaster ride and temperatures can be especially taxing on your business's mechanical HVAC system. That's why it's important to schedule a comprehensive review of your system today with Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical professionals. For more than 80 years, Air Comfort has maintained hundreds of businesses' HVAC systems throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Why do they trust their mechanical systems to Air Comfort? It's simple. Because they understand that Air Comfort has the best trained and highly skilled team of award-winning technicians. That's why Air Comfort is recognized as an MSCA Star Contractor, a designation achieved by only 2% of contractors nationwide. With a large service fleet of more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby. Schedule your system check by calling now, 708-345-1900, or online at aircomfort.com.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
That's negative Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage process on your own and completely online.
Copy that, QL1, but if I wanted to speak to someone, do you think they're out there?
They're out there, all right. I've made contact before. In fact, according to J.D. Power, they've provided award-winning client service for 6 years in a row.
Roger that, QL1. It's nice to know they're out there, wherever they are.
Detroit Control. They're in Detroit. Over.
3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
7:07, time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. And no shadows this morning in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Let's hope we have some good news as far as the commute goes. For now, it's not too bad on the Edens. 25 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. But the Kennedy is getting heavier with delays starting at Cumberland. It's now 37 minutes O'Hare to downtown and 19 from Montrose, 16 on the Express. Outbound 28 downtown to O'Hare. Inbound Eisenhower, 53 minutes Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 32. Stevenson, 48 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway delays, Roselle to 53. Reagan Tollway slow 53 to 355. And from the Tri-State to the Ike, Veterans Memorial slow 75th to the Reagan Tollway and Roosevelt to St. Charles. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Cloudy and windy today with wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Rain developing. Could be some sleet mixed in as well. High of 41. Couple of evening showers. Otherwise cloudy tonight with a low 36. Then cloudy tomorrow and breezy with a snow shower. High of 38. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Well, they're about to pull Woodstock Willie out of his hole in Woodstock this morning. We'll see if he sees or does not see his shadow. 35 at O'Hare, 34 along the lakefront, 36 at Midway, and your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. HealthQuest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again?
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
We will go on to easily beat Hillary or Bernie or whoever the hell they throw up there.
They told me that we have no chance because my hair wasn't gray enough and my boots were too high.
And tonight, while the results are still not known, it looks like we are in a virtual tie.
I am excited about really getting into the debate with Senator Sanders about the best way forward to fight for us and America.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Boy, oh boy, what a night. What a night.
Isn't it exciting? Aren't you pleased?
It is. I'm pleased to say goodbye to Marty O'Malley.
Oh, and Mike Huckabee.
Yeah.
They can start a band together because Mike Huckabee plays the sax and the banjo, and O'Malley sings and plays the guitar.
That's what they should do. Like
an old boy band.
Yeah, kind of like the Indigo Girls, the two of them. So now we're going to have to rely on all of our homespun colloquialisms on Matt Strawn, the former chairman of the Republican State Party of Iowa, and he joins us now. Matt, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, guys. And if you're going to get some homespun wisdom, I'm going to need about my fourth Red Bull already this morning.
There you go.
It was a long night.
Well, so perhaps besides the turnout, what surprised you with respect to last night's results?
Senator Rubio's surge at the end, and the conventional wisdom that we all had going in, that these new first-time caucus goers would predominantly go Donald Trump, and I had a front row seat for my suburban Des Moines precinct where that clearly wasn't the case. There were just as many people turning out for the first time to caucus, either against Trump or for Cruz and Rubio. So that kind of anti-Trump surge among new caucus goers was probably the biggest surprise I saw.
What do you think propelled Marco Rubio's momentum? I mean, was it the endorsement from the Des Moines Register? What did he do different to, nip on the heels of one Donald Trump?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, the complete collapse of the rest of the establishment lane. Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, of course, Kasich was never really here. So for a lot of those voters, there was really no place to go. And when Rubio popped with a halfway decent number and looked like the only viable remaining option in Sunday's Des Moines Register poll, I think that kind of released some of those softer Bush and Christie supporters to go with Rubio. And, the Thursday night debate, Ted Cruz, with some of those voters who were still torn between Cruz and Rubio, Rubio was able to pick up still some of that evangelical vote as well. But, of course, Cruz, Cruz is the story coming out of here. There's no doubt about it.
It seems to me that Rubio maybe pulled some votes from Trump because he didn't certainly pull any votes from Cruz. Cruz having, a stronger than predicted. I mean, there were people that were suggesting he could win a close race, but certainly they didn't expect the kind of numbers he piled up with the kind of turnout that we saw.
No, completely blew all our projections. I think conventional wisdom, even the most optimistic of Cruz supporters thought, once we got over 150, the math would just be incredibly difficult for him to pull this off. And, really bodes well for the arguments that Cruz has tried to prosecute nationally. He's making this claim that one of the reasons we haven't been successful in national elections is that there's the sleeping giant of evangelical votes that hasn't been turning up in our general elections. And, if I was the initial test case in that, he has found evangelicals that even in a conservative caucus state like Iowa that hadn't participated, that showed up last night for him.
Yeah, the most surprising thing to me last night was in Ted Cruz's victory speech, where he referenced two University of Chicago undergrads who worked for his campaign. I had no idea there were two conservatives at the University of Chicago.
It's an anomaly.
That was shocking to me. That was
going to Northwestern.
That's the underreported story of the night. There's two conservatives at University of Chicago, or at least they were. They'll probably be expelled today.
Well, it's two more than I think we have at the University of Iowa, so they've got that going for them.
Ever since Matt Strawn left. That's right.
Yes. So Iowa, obviously, as you know, they have a large evangelical base, but where can Ted Cruz win next? I mean, does he have a state where he can put together the same coalition and be successful?
Well, and that's one thing that was impressive about the Cruz coalition here, that it wasn't just based on evangelical Christian conservative support. He brought in the Tea Party, Tea Partiers. If you look at people in the entrance polls that said issues related to debt and spending were their top vote, he got those voters. He got voters who said national security and terrorism concerns were their top issue. He got those voters. He brought in some of the libertarian-oriented Republicans that that you would have thought naturally would have been with Rand Paul. So that's a powerful coalition when you look at South Carolina coming up after New Hampshire, when you look at those March 1st Southern SEC primary states. So it's a coalition that is set up at least for the next few weeks to be one that could be fairly formidable.
Well, sticking to the idea that Cruz is the big story from last night, and I agree with that assessment, one of the headlines has to be Cruz defeats Terry Branstad. I mean, the governor made a point to go after Ted Cruz specifically and tell Republican caucus goers not to support Ted Cruz because of his position on the renewable fuel standard, and that clearly didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question, the governor pushed his chips in on the defeat Cruz effort. And, there's so much inter-party politics at play here in Iowa with the team that was around Cruz. People like Congressman Steve King, evangelical leader Bob Vanderplas, folks that, have normally quarreled with Governor Branstad over the years. But when you look at, when the attacks came and the case that Cruz has been prosecuting, that he is anti-establishment, in a strange way, I don't think clearly those attacks didn't hurt him. It just, further credentialed him as somebody that, is going to stick to his guns, is different than the status quo we're seeing in Washington. So I don't know if there's a roadmap for Cruz to try and attract fire from leading New Hampshire or South Carolina officials, but, it seemed to help him in Iowa.
So Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, Kasich, Carly Fiorina, how soon before you think that they'll drop out of the race?
Well, certainly with Governor Bush and Governor Christie, I think everybody wants to see what happens in New Hampshire. We'll see if Rubio has the ability to use his very, very close third-place finish yesterday to generate momentum over 8 days in New Hampshire. Governor Kasich has been living essentially in New Hampshire. So I think things are going to sort themselves out, after New Hampshire, even more than they will in the next couple of days after Iowa.
With an eye towards the general election and Iowa being a swing state, is there anything that we can divine from the respective caucus results that portend for November in terms of Iowa going red this cycle?
I don't know if there's any broad themes on whether Iowa's going to go red this cycle, but I do think that the candidate, and you take a look at Sanders, take a look at Cruz, of course, still take a look at Trump, that outsider, anti-establishment message is one that's going to have a lot of currency, I think, throughout the general election. And, the fact that a former Republican chair, I'd be remiss if I wasn't heartened by the fact that Hillary barely, or maybe even didn't, beat a 74-year-old socialist from Vermont.
Right.
So I think it really peels back the vulnerabilities she has, even making a case to her own.
Yeah, I mean, she abruptly came on stage, but really never declared victory.
No, and if she did, I think she has some issues with the truth as it is anyway, so it wouldn't have surprised me. But there's an energy out there, unease in both parties, and I think if national strategists want to just, that's just Iowa, they've got this crazy process where extreme activists always skew the results, I think that'd be a real misread of the general public in the mood right now.
Yeah. Matt Strawn, former chairman of the state Republican Party in Iowa. Matt, thanks as always for your analysis this entire run-up to the Iowa caucus. It's been excellent. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. You guys have a good one.
See you in March with the Hawkeyes. And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today, cloudy, windy with rain developing. None of the snow here today, so that's good. We have a chance of some sleet mixed into that rain late this afternoon, a high of 42 degrees. And tonight, evening showers. And tomorrow, considerable cloudiness, breezy with a snow shower likely, a high of 37 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. Eastbound Adams Tollway. We see delays from Roselle to 53. Then it just past the Des Plaines Oasis. We have a report of some metal debris in the right lane. The northbound Tri-State has stop-and-go traffic from the Stevenson to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Reagan Tollway heavy, 53 to 355. From the Tri-State to the Ike. Veterans Memorials, those 75th to the Reagan Tollway and Roosevelt to St. Charles. The Edens, 25 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 24 the Kennedy. 37 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 28. The Eisenhower's now an hour and 5 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 32 minutes. Stevenson, 51 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Winter weather is here, and this season's roller coaster ride and temperatures can be especially taxing on your business's mechanical HVAC system. That's why it's important to schedule a comprehensive review of your system today with Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical professionals. For more than 80 years, Air Comfort has maintained hundreds of businesses' HVAC systems throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Why do they trust their mechanical systems to Air Comfort? It's simple. Because they understand that Air Comfort has the best trained and highly skilled team of award-winning technicians. That's why Air Comfort is recognized as an MSCA Star Contractor, a designation achieved by only 2% of contractors nationwide. With a large service fleet of more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby. Schedule your system check by calling now, 708-345-1900 or online at aircomfort.com.
Hey, if you need to sell your home in Chicagoland, Sean Hannity here with some very important facts that you need to know. Now, 40% of homes hitting the market in Chicago are not selling. Now, those are horrible odds. You need to call Saul Z and the Z team based right here in Chicagoland. Now, Saul sells a home on average every 24 hours and attracts hundreds of buyers every month locally, nationally, and internationally. The Wall Street Journal ranks Saul's team in the top 110 teams out of 1.2 million agents in the U.S. Now, Saul Z guarantees to sell your home in 29 days at a price and deadline that you agree to, or he will buy your home or he'll sell it for free. Plus, working with Saul is also risk-free. After 24 hours, if he's not doing his job, you can walk away free and clear. Just call the agent I would call if I needed to sell my home and lived in Chicagoland. Call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's 888-346-0666. Or go online at callsaul.net. That's callsaul.net.
My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients. Balance of Nature doesn't make any claims of treating or curing any particular disease, but I think the results speak for themselves.
When I started on this, I stopped my blood pressure and my cholesterol medicine. My blood pressure after a week since then has been normal, and my bad cholesterol dropped 27 points in 3 weeks, and my overall cholesterol dropped like 25 points. So I'm good. So I'm not taking anything.
The top 3 New Year's resolutions are health-related. Improve your odds by getting started early with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Chicago winters are brutal. But when you're homeless, they can be life-threatening. At 54, Trudy fell on hard times and ended up living on the streets. On cold winter nights, Trudy says the trick was to sleep on empty milk cartons to keep her body from freezing on the frozen ground. Well, thankfully, Trudy found Franciscan Outreach. Franciscan Outreach provides people who are homeless with hot meals, a warm bed, access to health care, and the support needed to improve their lives. Today, with the help of Franciscan Outreach, Trudy is employed, has permanent housing, and sleeps in her own warm bed on cold winter nights. Please find a home in your heart for those who are homeless. Visit franoutreach.org to find out how you can help. Your gift will help improve the lives of hundreds of people like Trudy every day. franoutreach.org. Make a difference today.
Hey, Joe Walsh here. Listen to Freedom any time of any day. Go to walshfreedom.com/podcast. Freedom returns at 5.
Dan and Amy, 312-642-5600. That's the turnkey.pro answer line. 646-360-A, turnkey.pro text line. Your reactions to what came to pass last night in Iowa. I thought one of the big questions after the results were a fait accompli would be, how does Donald Trump respond? How does Donald Trump respond graciously in defeat, or does he give in to his worst instincts? And he was gracious.
And we finished second, and I want to tell you something. I'm just honored. I'm really honored. And I want to congratulate Ted, and I want to congratulate all of the incredible candidates, including Mike Huckabee, who's become a really good friend of mine. So congratulations to everybody. 2%. Congratulations.
And
he was very humble, but you know what? He's going to pretend like becoming in second is the best thing ever.
Well, he's moving on. It was a very short speech, very quick remarks that he offered before he moved along to New Hampshire, right?
Before he got on his private plane and flew away.
But he was gracious to the other candidates. He was also gracious to Iowa voters. He didn't say, what are you, stupid, like he did once upon a time. He had this to say.
Iowa, we love you. We thank you. You're special. We will be back many, many times. In fact, I think I might come here and buy a farm. I love it, okay? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I heard that.
Thank you.
He's going to buy a farm and put a casino on it.
What is he going to farm? Soy, corn? I was thinking, what, dairy, cow? I mean, what's he going to do? What kind of farm is he going to have? But no, he licked his wounds and he went away, and I don't think he's going to be purchasing land anytime soon in the great state of Iowa.
Well, if he's the nominee, he might. Now, Marco Rubio, he finished the strong third. He's kind of the other story in addition to Cruz, obviously, on the Republican side. The surprisingly strong finish that Rubio had. And, I mean, he gave kind of a recast of his commencement speech, which sounded almost like a victory speech, like he actually won the Iowa caucus.
But he did win. He just came 1% behind Donald Trump. That's huge.
Well, okay, Donald Trump impersonator.
Well, he was 23%, Donald Trump 24%, and he did better than everyone expected.
And then part of the game is it's a momentum game. It's beating the street estimates. And look, this is a long road. 175,000, as big as that turnout was for the Iowa caucus. Remember, in 2012, there were 200,000 Republican votes cast in Cook County alone. So this is important for momentum. It's important to start, the delegate gathering process. But this is a long road ahead for all three of the candidates. The interesting thing coming out of it is that it seems like it's a three-person race right now. And if it stays a three-person race in New Hampshire, then the dynamics of the race will substantially change as you have more candidates go the way of Huckabee. But I thought Rubio had some good flourishes last night. Perhaps speech after the results were set was offered by Rubio, including explaining why Hillary Clinton was disqualified from being president of the United States to cast himself against her.
Hillary Clinton is disqualified from being the president of the United States. Because she stored classified and sensitive information on her email server because she thinks she's above the law. And Hillary Clinton can never be commander-in-chief. Because anyone who lies to the families of people who have lost their lives in the service of this country can never be commander-in-chief of the United States.
Great. I mean, that was his shining moment, definitely.
You know what's interesting about Rubio, too, is perception-wise, he's perceived as less conservative, less sharp-edged than Ted Cruz, for example. Mm-hmm. But rhetorically and substantively, with the exception of that amnesty bill he co-sponsored, they're not dissimilar. I mean, so the idea that that Rubio is this establishment candidate, the good news is, even were Rubio the nominee, Rubio and Cruz and the other kind of upstart freshman senators, as well as the grassroots that's supporting them, and even to the extent that some establishment types are supporting Rubio, or some less conservative types are supporting Rubio. This establishment grassroots thing I think is a bit of a false dichotomy. But even to that extent, it shows how far in the direction of economic liberty and social conservatism the party has moved. And I think that's a positive development.
Well, for me, he earned the respect of those who said he wasn't supposed to be there, which made him sound like a bit of an outsider, which made me become attracted to him as a candidate.
For months, they told us because we didn't have the right endorsements or the right political connections, we had no chance. They told me that we had no chance because my hair wasn't gray enough and my boots were too high. They told me I needed to wait my turn, that I needed to wait in line.
Well, I love that. Now he just needs Jeb Bush's super PAC money.
Yeah, well,
because he only has $6 to $9 million. In his campaign coffers.
but he's got more than a chance now.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Having a great smile to show off makes you feel good. There's no embarrassment associated with being able to flash your pearly whites whenever you want. If you'd like to feel that comfort and confidence with your smile, there's only one person who can help you. Dr. Neruzzi of Fox River Periodontics.
This is Brian DeWolf. I have 2 implants from Fox River Periodontics. I had one. I was happy with it. So I had another one done, and I love them. The idea of dentures didn't appeal to me at all. I didn't want that appliance in my mouth. These implants are wonderful. They're just like your real teeth, and they're probably even better because there's no nerve attached to them, so there's no pain, and they last forever. Dr. Neruzzi is great, and his staff is wonderful, and I trust him completely. If you're looking for dental implants, or considering dental implants for a missing tooth or for a whole mouthful, talk to Dr. Neruzzi. He'll be happy you did, and Fox River Periodontics.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants. Go to implantsforme.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll continue talking about the Iowa caucus results with an eye towards New Hampshire and the rest of the primaries. Get a little institutional perspective from Indiana Senator Dan Coates at 7:37.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, it's Texas Senator Ted Cruz celebrating this morning an impressive victory in Iowa.
God bless the great state of Iowa.
And Donald Trump had to thank the people of Iowa for his second place finish.
Iowa, we love you. We thank you. You're special. We will be back many, many times. In fact, I think I might come here and buy a farm. I love it, okay? Thank you.
Fresh off a third-place finish in last night's Iowa caucuses, Florida Senator Marco Rubio racks up another key endorsement in an early voting state. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
I'm putting my confidence and my trust in Marco Rubio because I believe that he takes us to that better future.
In a video posted on Rubio's YouTube page, Scott praised the Republican candidate. Democrats saw Bernie Sanders surge, his supporters cheering the results in Iowa.
Iowa, thank you.
And Hillary Clinton claimed a win in the Iowa caucuses in spite of splitting the vote.
It is rare that we have the opportunity we do now to have a real contest of ideas.
Clinton speaking last night at a rally before the results were known. She has, according to Iowa Democrats, defeated Bernie Sanders by the slimmest of margins. Lawyers for Eamon Bundy are expected to argue for his release today when the leader of that armed occupation at a remote national wildlife refuge appears before a federal judge in Oregon. Groundhog Day, and one of the country's famous rodents, Punxsutawney Phil, has emerged.
Is this current warm weather more than a trend? Perchance this winter has come to an end. There is no shadow to be cast. An early spring is my forecast.
According to the tradition, that means we're in store for that early spring. Warmer temps are actually on the horizon. Chicago's interim police superintendent says he doesn't know why homicides and shootings climbed so dramatically in January compared to the same month last year, as Chicago police are looking for new clues after a Southside homeowner was shot and killed at his front door, gunned down yesterday morning by two men in the 9,000 block of South May. Once again, Governor Rauner has rejected suggestions to expand the list of ailments eligible for treatment with medical marijuana. Right now, the law includes 39 diseases or conditions that qualify, but without additions to the list, business experts say the marijuana business is doomed to fail in the state. Chicago sports, NBA last night, Utah over the Bulls, 105-96. The news, a service of Boys and Girls Clubs of America. It's time to support Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit greatfutures.org. Check traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The first votes of the 2016 campaign were finally cast in Iowa.
God bless the great state of Iowa.
And Ted Cruz emerged the winner.
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
Now the race shifts to New Hampshire.
On to New Hampshire.
And the first in the nation primary. Stay tuned to find out what happens next.
We are going to win this election for this country.
On your election station, AM 560. The Answer.
You'll never bite a burger better than a Bubba. From backyard barbecues to tailgating for the big game, Bubba Burger is always the quality and convenience you can trust. Find them in your local grocer's freezer today.
Hi, this is Shalom Klein of Get Down to Business, the show for small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Powered by Tandem HR. The way you are buying your investments could be a major wealth leak, especially if you buy fee-heavy mutual funds. According to Everett Wealth Solutions, knowing just how much you are paying for your investments is crucial. Do your homework. Over a 30-year period of time, you could be losing $300,000 or more. That's money that should be in your retirement account, not the mutual fund company coffers. Everett says to consider robo-advising, a system that uses algorithms to invest in low-cost ETFs or exchange-transferred funds. You get intelligent, cost-effective design, which can improve performance and help eliminate expensive wealth leaks. Work with a fiduciary advisor who will educate you and recommend what is always in your best interest. For more tips, advice, and stories of entrepreneurial successes, listen to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein, heard Sunday evenings at 6. Your Business Minute of the Day is brought to you by Everett Wealth Solutions.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you wanted to purchase a home after filing bankruptcy or when your home was foreclosed, you called me and I helped you. When you tried to purchase a home you couldn't afford, you called me and I advised you to purchase a less expensive home. If you want to talk with me about a mortgage, please give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. 1333. Email david@perldavid.com. That's david@perldavid.com, or visit my website, am560david.com. 312-751-1333. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186. PearlMortgage.com licensing.
7:36 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Very latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens has inbound delays from Devon to the junction. 25 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose up on 24. Kennedy is 41 minutes. O'Hare to downtown up on 28. The Eisenhower now an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. 52 minutes from Mannheim. There's a crash in the mix at 25th Avenue in the right lane. Outbound just 32 minutes. Post Office to Thorndale. Stevenson 52 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound it's fine. Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State stop and go from the Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Adams Tollway now jammed. Higgins to 53, and Bussey to the Des Plaines Oasis. Some debris in the right lane. Veterans Memorial slows 75th to the Reagan Tollway. Butterfield to St. Charles. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, Air Comfort, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy, windy, rain develops, maybe some sleet mixed in, high 42. 37 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Autumn Leaves Memory Care Communities, now open in Glen Ellen. Take a virtual tour at autumnleaves.com.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Ted Cruz's victory last night, how is that going to be received inside the Beltway, particularly among his caucus mates, who, according to Donald Trump and some others, nobody likes? Nobody likes Ted Cruz. That's what they say. Well, why don't we talk to one of his caucus mates? He is Indiana Senator Dan Coates, who joins us now. Senator Coates, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, good morning. Nice to talk to you.
So what was your assessment as a fellow Midwesterner of what went down in Iowa last night?
Well, I think Donald Trump took a little bit of a hit. You know, he was projecting I'm invincible all the way up to this point, although it was clear Ted Cruz had poured everything into Iowa, had a great ground game going for him. So not a major surprise, but yet a niche, I think, a nick into Donald's narrative. The real surprise for me was the surge of Marco Rubio just in the last week or so following that debate that Donald didn't attend. I think that hurt him and the Trump, but I think it helped Rubio a lot because he really showed, I think, potentially the face of the future of the Republican Party. Had a very, very good night, and I didn't think Ted Cruz had a good night. So I think we got a three-man race now going into New Hampshire. I know Jeb Bush. I almost said George. Jeb Bush thinks he's going to do better in New Hampshire, but he really, he has to. I mean, it's live or die, I think, in New Hampshire for Jeb.
So Cruz and Rubio. Rubio is the future, the face of the future of the Republican Party. Ted Cruz is 6 months older than Rubio. Why can't Ted Cruz be the face of the future of the Republican Party?
Well, they could be, and I think they both are vying for that. But when you look at the numbers in terms of who can win in the fall, set aside the relationship of Ted with the Senate, which has never been good. Set aside all that stuff. I mean, the real question is who can beat Hillary Clinton and/or Bernie Sanders. I think it's going to be Hillary, but beat them in the fall. And when you put those numbers up, Marco Rubio runs away with it. I have known for a year now that Democrats' biggest fear here in Washington is that Marco Rubio is going to be their opponent.
Well, I mean, just a point of order. What we know now in terms of the data, I know this is something that's being promoted, but I'm looking at the Real Clear Politics average in terms of matchups. Cruz in a general election matchup with Clinton is plus 1.3. Rubio is plus 2.5. That's obviously well within any margin of error. So how is it that Cruz can't win a general but Rubio can?
Well, I didn't say he can't. I just said Rubio has had the better numbers all along, and I think he appeals to a broader range of people. But I mean, obviously, I'm probably not any better than the pollsters out there in terms of absolutely saying this is what works and this doesn't work and this is the number and that's going to stick. We saw last night that pollsters once again were wrong in many facets. And so it's who can appeal to people. All I know is that Democrats have not laid a glove on Cruz, and they've been going after Rubio, and it tells me that they fear him the most.
Well, a lot of people I speak with here in Chicago think that Senator Ted Cruz is unelectable because he rubs people the wrong way in his approach. Is he a nasty guy, as Donald Trump described him as? I mean, you've worked with him on the Senate floor. Is he a likable person?
Well, there have not been good relations in terms of our working together. It was, for most of us, we really didn't appreciate being called corrupt and not conservative enough to be a Republican United States senator, and in the pockets of the Washington lobbyist. I don't think that applies to many of us here, and it seemed that Ted was trying to be pretty opportunistic in terms of promoting himself as against supporting the party. You know, I think Marco Rubio has a compelling message of saying, you know, if we don't pull together as a party, we're not going to win this thing. And the worst thing that could happen is that we get 8 more years of the Clintons or Bernie Sanders and more of Obama. So if people really want to change from what's happened in the last 8 years under this president, we're going to have to unite as a party. And Ted has not been a uniter. He's been a divider within the party.
And this morning, you have Marco Rubio getting an important endorsement. Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina announcing via video that's been posted on Rubio's site, as Mike Scott was reporting earlier, that he believes Marco Rubio is the best choice. And coming out of Iowa now, you expect the dynamics both in New Hampshire and South Carolina to potentially change, even though Donald Trump currently enjoys a substantial lead in both places.
Yeah, that's a big endorsement for Rubio. Tim Scott is highly regarded, African-American, conservative Republican, well-loved in South Carolina. And South Carolina, obviously, as you just said, is going to be a very critical state, just following New Hampshire. So Tim's endorsement should mean a lot down there. And so, anyway, what has been, I think what we can say is that the Republican Party has a pretty deep bench of pretty capable people. And it's given the American people a new look at a formerly staid party that basically said, okay, who's the next guy up? Who's been waiting the longest? They'll be our next candidate. We've moved past that now. I think the shoe is on the other foot with the Democrats. I mean, they seem to be the party of the old, and we seem to be the party of the new. And I think that's pretty exciting for those of us who are in that position. Now, I don't characterize myself. I mean, people look at me and say, hey, you're old. Well, I'm not running for president. So they don't have
old.
No, the whole old thing has been completely redefined. 75 is the new 55, you know?
So,
well, there are mornings I don't feel that, but anyway.
That's all right. We'll all eventually get there. Donald Trump, have you and your colleagues been surprised at how he has been able to attract so many followers and so many, it's more of a vote, it's more of a movement?
Obviously it was a surprise to everybody, but when you looked at it, you knew that the people out there were looking for something different. They were not satisfied with what was happening in Washington. I don't blame them. I understand their frustration. We have been at stalemate here with this president now for 7 years, and we've got, one party in the Congress, another party at the White House. And it's been stalemate, and the economy hasn't gone well. It's been a terrible recovery, slow recovery from this great recession that we had way back in 2008. There are a lot of kids coming out of college still looking for jobs that match up with their 4 years of effort in college, and we've got a lot of people that have flat wages. And so there's a lot of dissatisfaction in the country, and they really want somebody to come in and take charge. And I can see why they turn to people like Donald Trump and others who are saying, enough is enough.
We're talking Indiana Senator Dan Coats. And Senator Coats, this primary, the presidential primary, is not the only important one. A lot of important Senate races for the Republicans to maintain control of the Senate and the House, for that matter. So you You have hopefully a Republican president and a Republican Senate, a Republican House, and then you can actually move a policy agenda. You announced last year that you're retiring. You're not seeking re-election in 2016, so there's a primary for your seat. Any concerns that could have a dogfight on our hands again in Indiana with respect to keeping the seat that you currently occupy in the Republican column?
Well, we're trying to avoid what happened in 2012 when we ended up with the wrong nominee and we lost the seat. And that potentially could happen again. We'll see how it plays out. We have 3 people running for this. Filing deadline is, I think, this Friday. So we're going to know more in a few days here in terms of just who's in and where they are and how they stack up. We'll just see how it all plays out. But we would love to hold this seat. I would love to have someone follow me who basically is coming in bringing the same kind of values and support for what we believe works in Indiana that hasn't worked in Washington. And we'll see how this all plays out in the next few months.
All right. He is Indiana Senator Dan Coates. Senator Coates, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, pleasure to be on your show. Thanks so much.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line. Let's take some calls here. How about Bob in Plainfield? You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, the day after Cruz wins, the establishment comes out for amnesty Rubio. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. It really is. I mean, here's a guy who basically lied to his own constituents and said, I won't go for amnesty, then joined the Gang of Hate, and then comes out and goes to an AP article after he says, I'm not for amnesty, and says, well, I'm not for really throwing anyone out of the country the day after the debate. I mean, Rubio's a real twisted kind of guy. And then Cruz, he has a point. Cruz doesn't really have charisma. So you really have a problem with the 2 candidates that you guys are, the regular standard guys. That's kind of why I'm pushing Trump more than I am pushing the other 2. So,
all right.
I mean, I'm kind of pushed to Trump.
Thanks for the call, Bob.
Immigration plan, it consists of kicking everybody out of the country. Don't know how he's going to do that. And then slowly letting them back in. I mean, there's no detailed plan, and that's what bothers a lot of women about Trump, because we're into details, Dan. Everything is detailed in our lives, and he doesn't have a solid plan.
Oh, yes. Yeah, clearly the Cackle Caucus members that are supporting Hillary are into details. Clearly. Yeah, very detail-oriented. Here's the thing with Rubio. I think there's an opportunity for Rubio on this amnesty problem he has.
Yeah, how can he get out of this?
Admit you made a mistake.
Just admit it, right.
Rather than trying to say that.
Or just say you've changed your mind. I mean, women, we do it all the time. I've changed my mind. I've evolved my thought pattern. Now I like this candidate, not that candidate. I mean, it happens.
I think that's the political opportunity for Rubio to put this behind him. Otherwise, it will linger. I mean, it's going to linger in some respects regardless. But at least if you own saying, this is what I was thinking at the time. I made a mistake. That was an error in judgment, and I learned from it, and I'm not going to make that same mistake again. And then you can put that kind of behind you to some extent and start to look prospectively at the kind of policies you would pursue as president. But if he just tries to spin out of it as he's done in the debates, and ineffectively, even Jeb Bush got the better of him in the Thursday night debate on that score.
And there's another debate this Saturday night.
It's going to continue to haunt him. Mark and Addison, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. And I'm calling you from Addison, but I actually am from Indiana. And Dan Coates is one of my 2 senators.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad that he is retiring. When I listened to him talk there, he talked about how Cruz wasn't liked within the Republican part of the Senate, and then went on to praise Rubio, and then admitted that the people are upset, and that's why people like Donald Trump are doing so well. And then he finished by taking a cheap shot at Murdoch, who did lose in 2012, for answering a question badly.
Right.
But, I mean, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, and I do like Senator Coates, but it is time for him to go.
Thanks for the call, Mark.
He is retiring.
Scott on the west side.
Yeah, I want to echo what the last 2 callers have said.
Scott, I'm sorry. We got a bad connection there. I apologize. Sean in Elmwood Park.
That interview should be Ted Cruz's next commercial. Where is the stalemate with Obama? Does this man who is supposedly representing the people know what the national debt is? And as far as calling you in the lobbyist pocket, you are in the lobbyist pocket. And as far as being out of touch with the people, you are out of touch with the people. That commercial is the endorsement for Ted Cruz that we, the people, just decided we aren't going to take. And it's the substantive conservative that will win. He is going to win. He will signs they're double-crossing us.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Forecast for today, it's going to be cloudy, windy, rain developing, then some sleet mixed in by the afternoon, a high of 42 degrees. Tonight, evening showers, and tomorrow, considerable cloudiness, breezy with a snow shower, just a dusting, a high of 37. How's that inbound Kennedy shaping up? Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Amy. It is getting heavier with delays starting at Cumberland, 47 minutes O'Hare to downtown, a little quicker than the Express. Outbound just 28 minutes downtown to the airport. The Edens is 20. Cook to Montrose outbound 27. The Eisenhower, an hour and 17 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, an hour and 4 minutes from Mannheim. Outbound 40 minutes to Thorndale. There is a crash before 355 in the left lane. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown, Lakeshore Drive. Now tied up southbound Lawrence to Fullerton. Northbound Tri-State delays. The Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Adams Tollway jammed. Higgins to 53. Westbound, there's a stall at Roselle in the right lane. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Speaking of ChicagoRadioDeals.com, now we make it easier for you to get fit with exclusive deals from MFC Sports Performance in Darien. It seems like everyone has a kid who participates in some sports or club sports. These kids could benefit from strength and endurance training, which is why MFC Sports Performance in Darien is offering a deal on open group training for your child. This $99 deal is only $50 for an 8-session package. Get in on the action yourself. MFC has another 8-session deal for adult boot camp fitness training, a $79 value for just $40. Hey, need time for yourself? Well, visit the Primal Ocean Salt Cave in LaGrange. Your stress begins to disappear when you step into the pink Himalayan salt cave. Experience it with an array of packages, which all include a salt cave session and either an aqua massage, aqua escape, or ionic foot bath detox session. These amazing packages, normally $65 to $75, but only $40 to $45 at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Some of these deals do scoop them up, so some of these deals are limited, so scoop them up while you can. Just go to ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
How does economic inequality emerge in a free society? From a bunch of win-win transactions. When J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter books, she created something of value. A bunch of great stories that millions of people willingly and happily paid $20 a piece for. Now, what happened to inequality as a result? It grew. Rowling became a billionaire, while her fans saw their income stay the same and their wealth go down by a tiny amount, $20. Inequality grew, but everyone was better off as a result. That's the way inequality arises under freedom, and that's why it should. For more, see my book with Don Watkins, Equal is Unfair, America's Misguided Fight Against Income Inequality. Visit ARIRadio.com. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Ron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ARIRadio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Amy Grant, Stephen Curtis Chapman, finally on tour together for the first time ever. Friday, February 19th, NIU Convocation Center, performing solo and side by side. A special and rare celebration. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
I've been taking it, and I'm actually feeling better. I know that I'm not coughing anymore, and I was coughing all the time.
I notice my body feels better.
I have diabetes. I had my blood work done, and I had really good numbers.
I want to thank you for your product and all that. It's been great.
I got my kids taking them now. Got my parents taking them. My brothers, my best friends. Got everybody on them.
I love the product, and I love Dr. Howard. I trust him. I feel safe. I think his product is superb. I'm going to continue with it.
Get started early on your New Year's resolution with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Running a business is tough these days. From a president who claimed it,
you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
To the mountains and mountains of taxes and regulations here in Illinois. But many companies, big and small, have persevered, serving their customers and communities. If that's you and your business, then AM 560 The Answer wants to celebrate your success and tell your story. It's the AM 560 Business Tour 2016, presented by Signature Bank. This spring, Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson will be broadcasting live from businesses in Illinois with success stories of overcoming the odds and thriving in spite of the challenging business environment. If your company fits this description, then we want to know about it so we can consider broadcasting from your location. Tell us your story. Visit 560theanswer.com/business and submit your information. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
Couple texts from Alex P. Keaton. I like Dan Coates, but he's very establishment. They feel they can mold Rubio into one of their own. Ted Cruz will remain conservative. I think that's a pretty good observation, as is this one from A&B Davis's bowling ball. I like Ted Cruz, but he does have that Jay Cutler jerk face.
Oh,
that's pretty good.
Nice. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, the first test of the presidential candidates. No landslides, but we'll have the close one on the Democratic side. And do Bernie Sanders supporters really even know who they're supporting? But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a murder spike spills over into February. The mayor's approval rating plummets, and the Jazz turn back the Bulls in overtime. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. Ted Cruz calls his win in Iowa a victory for
courageous conservatives across this state.
But Marco Rubio's feeling good, too. He surged to a close third place and is already in New Hampshire.
I can win. I give us the best chance to beat Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders.
They virtually tied in the Democratic caucuses. More on that in a moment. First, Fox's Jeff Manasso is at Donald Trump's headquarters, now live in Des Moines.
Dave, a record 186,000 Republicans caucused here last night, with 30% of them new voters who went for Trump.
We finished second, and I want to tell you something. I'm just honored.
Trump coming in with 24%, Ted Cruz with 28%, and a surge for Marco Rubio with 23%.
It's not that we didn't work hard, because we did.
Showing second in Iowa, I think that's a really good indication of how he's going to do in the rest of the country.
Supporters of Trump at Trump headquarters last night, they say they feel good, Dave, about where Trump stands in New Hampshire and South Carolina.
And Jeff Bernie Sanders says the too close to call vote in Iowa sends a message
to the political establishment, to the economic establishment, and, by the way, to the media.
Fox's John Decker was at Clinton headquarters and joins us live.
The outcome in Iowa, a virtual tie with both Clinton and Sanders getting 50%, has dealt a jolting psychological blow to the Clinton campaign. Staffers had hoped that Hillary Clinton would garner a decisive victory here, but Clinton tried to put to rest any doubts about her strength as a candidate.
Stick with me. Stick with a plan. Stick with the experience. Stick with the ideas that will actually work for our country.
Clinton and Sanders are now in New Hampshire, where Sanders is heavily favored in the polls. Dave?
Now, John, two candidates who got few votes, Democrat Martin O'Malley and Republican Mike Huckabee, are dropping out of the race. The FBI is joining the investigation into Flint, Michigan's lead-contaminated water. And if you believe the groundhog, we'll get an early spring. Punxsutawney Phil in Pennsylvania did not see his shadow. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Cloudy and 37 degrees, winds out of the east at 10, 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Police are investigating a suspicious death in suburban Plainfield this morning. A woman found in a vehicle parked near the intersection of Lockport Street and Van Dyke Road. The victim had suffered severe head trauma. After a bloody January in Chicago, the bloodiest in the last 16 years with 50 homicides, February starts off with 2 murders on the first day. And as AM 560's David Stewart reports, police are looking for solutions.
The 50 homicides is nearly double last January's 29, and 280 shootings are more than double last January. Police officials attribute most of the killings to gang disputes. Acting Superintendent John Escalante says more officers are being moved from desks and foot patrols into cars.
Right now, we think we can better utilize them by making them more visible and getting them back in cars.
Police union leaders say cops are stopping fewer people because of new paperwork requirements and, says Union Chief Dean Angelo, because of higher scrutiny.
The ability to do your job underneath a fishbowl is incredibly detrimental to policing.
David Stewart, Chicago.
Chicago Teachers Union says it has rejected a contract proposal because it does not address school conditions or services to some students. Meantime, the union says the offer would have required teachers to pick up some pension costs and increase contributions to health care coverage. School officials say they're disappointed by the move. Mayor Emanuel is suffering from a lack of public trust. If a new poll by the Chicago Tribune is any indication, only 27% of those surveyed approve of his job performance. Nearly 75% don't believe the mayor's explanation of how and when he learned about the police shooting of Laquan McDonald. Chicago sports, Utah beat the Bulls 105-96 in overtime. The news, a service of eFax. There is an easier way to fax on the go. eFax lets you send and receive faxes by email through your phone or your computer, maybe your tablet. Fax anytime and from anywhere with eFax. Visit efax.com/30days for a special 30-day free trial. efax.com/30days for a free 30-day trial. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Turnkey.pro. From the Fox Business Network, here's Lillian Wu.
From the Fox Business Network, stocks expected to open lower on Wall Street as global markets face a rough day. Investors selling on worries over China's slowing economy and falling crude prices. Dow Chemical beats fourth quarter expectations, reporting a profit of $3.61 billion. The Michigan-based company says it had a profit of $2.94 a share. And record high temperatures have been hitting winter clothing sales hard. Now, something retailers may not want to hear, the prediction from Pennsylvania's most famous groundhog.
Is this current warm weather more than a trend? Her chance this winter has come to an end.
Punxsutawney Phil predicting this morning that spring-like temperatures are just around the corner. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Lillian Wu.
8:05 in Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It gets dark early, it's freezing outside, and your life savings is going down tick by tick in the stock market. Well, I have some good news for you. Mortgage interest rates have gone down again, so it's time to do a no closing cost refinance with Townstone Financial. Hi, Barry Sterner, owner of your premier home mortgage lender, Townstone Financial. Give me a call now if your interest rate is above 4% on 30-year fix or above 3.5% on a 15-year fix. We've completed thousands of no-cost refinances since 2002, and we can do one for you too. And don't worry, there are no hidden costs. I guarantee it, and I own the company. Also, if you have an FHA or conventional loan with monthly mortgage insurance, we can try to remove the insurance payment due to recent increases in home prices. This can save you hundreds of dollars per month. Remember, you don't have to restart at 30 years or 15. We can customize the payback period. So dial 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com. Townstone Financial is an Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and MLS 136639, equal housing lender.
QL1, this is Control. Ground crew is secure. Over.
Copy that, Control. Rockets powering up. Over.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
Negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes.
Copy that, QL1. That is fast, like rocket fast. Do you think that's why they named it Rocket Mortgage? Over.
Affirmative, Control. That's probably why they named it Rocket Mortgage. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose.
Roger that, QL1. So technically speaking, you could get a Rocket Mortgage at rocket speed from inside an actual rocket?
Please just press the button, Control. Over.
Copy that, QL1.
3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage.
Rocket. Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
8:07 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Kennedy has delays from Cumberland to the Burn Circle. It's 54 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 38 from Montrose, 28 in the Express, outbound 27 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Eden's about 23 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Eisenhower, an hour and 17 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, an hour and 4 minutes from Manheim. Outbound, looking at 50 minutes to Thorndale. Delays on the extension from 83 to before 355 due to a crash. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine. Orion is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to 31st. Then from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway tied up Barrington Road to 53. Reagan Tollway good. Veterans Memorial still Boughton to the Reagan Tollway, and from the Army Trail Toll to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here is our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, cloudy and windy with rain developing. There may be some sleet mixed in. High today, 41. Couple of evening showers, otherwise cloudy tonight with a low of 36. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
35 at O'Hare, 34 along the lakefront. We have 36 at Midway. And your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by MyPainChicago.com. World-class treatment for chronic pain. Go to MyPainChicago.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again?
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
We will go on to easily beat Hillary or Bernie or whoever the hell they throw up there.
They told me that we have no chance because my hair wasn't gray enough and my boots were too high.
And tonight, while the results are still not known, it looks like we are in a virtual tie.
I am excited about really getting into the debate with Senator Sanders about the best way forward to fight for us and America.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. What is up? We got all kinds of questions that are being hotly debated. Is Ted Cruz too conservative to win a general election? Is Marco Rubio the face of the new Republican Party for a new American century? Is Donald Trump experiencing the beginning of the end? Do Bernie Sanders supporters have a clue what they're supporting
Dan.
We'll take your calls on any or all of those questions, and then we'll give you the correct answer. 312-642-5600 is the turnkey.pro answer line. 646-36DA is the turnkey.pro text line. Of course, you could download the AM560 mobile app to communicate with us via that device as well.
Call us or email us via the AM560 mobile app. It's
love
just
technology.
Spectacular.
I love technology.
I love it. Not getting a lot of love last night, Donald Trump, but he handled it well. Because second place now is the place to be. It's going to be the greatest place to ever be in the history of the world. But it was weird to see him be humble. Not weird, I should say. It was strange. It was different when he graciously said he conceded to Ted Cruz. He ran a heck of a race, and he thought, maybe some people thought that he should never have even campaigned in Iowa, that he should have just skipped Iowa.
I was told by everybody, do not go to Iowa. You could never finish even in the top 10. And I said, but I have friends in Iowa. I know a lot of people in Iowa. I think they'll really like me. Let's give it a shot. They said, don't do it. I said, I have to do it. And we finished second, and I want to tell you something. I'm just honored. I'm really honored. And I want to congratulate Ted, and I want to congratulate all of the incredible candidates.
I'll tell you what.
Nice. It was gracious.
Well, it was gracious. Also, there's this part of it. That was part of the conventional wisdom that was conventionally wrong. Donald Trump enters the race. I mean, I said I thought it was a joke.
You said he'd be out by Labor Day.
I thought he'd be out by Labor Day. I absolutely did. And the idea that Donald Trump could play as well in Iowa as he had played all the way up until last night, and frankly, through last night. I mean, he was second by 7,000 votes, but he still finished second. He's still in a position where he is one of, I think, arguably the three finalists for the nomination at this juncture. So there's a lot of truth to what Donald Trump said. There's no denying it.
And I thought he wouldn't be able to handle losing, but he did a pretty good job.
Well, Donald Trump, if he is one thing, it is not tone deaf, at least not with the market position he's trying to occupy. And so he has a good feel for this arena with respect to, again, the space he's carving out as he sees to be the pathway to victory. I mean, ultimate victory. So I'm not surprised that he was gracious, because that was the right thing to do in that moment. That's what he did.
I'm just glad I woke up and I said, there is a God, because you know how I feel about Donald Trump. I think he's just a carnival barker, and I want him to know that he can't insult his way to the White House. Now he might have to change his strategy. He might have to refine his message possibly, or his policies.
I don't think so.
Really? You don't think that's going to happen?
Why? Because he finished second place by 4 percentage points?
It doesn't come easy. It's hard work. And he put in the hours, but it's not.
The dynamics are going to change now because of Rubio's finish. But I mean, you've got him up 25 points in New Hampshire.
I think
similarly,
that lead's going to diminish.
In South Carolina. It may, but I mean, it still has to happen. We'll see. I mean, it needs to diminish substantially and quickly because it's a week from today.
Gosh, a week.
I mean, there is a debate, as you pointed out earlier, but still. I'm not going to dismiss Trump as a. I think you can. Well, let me put it this way. I think you can make as strong a case, if not stronger, that Donald Trump is likely to be the nominee as compared to anybody else. So that's not the same thing as saying he's going to be the nominee. But I mean, the idea that because he finishes second, this is over for Trump, or it's the beginning of the end. I think we're far from that, because there is real inelastic Trump support among a couple of demographics actually, that Republicans are going to need in the general election. And this is why it behooves Ted Cruz to focus on substantive policy and record differences and not attack Trump personally, name-calling, not attract Trump supporters. Cruz has been very disciplined and focused, as has, frankly, Rubio. He hasn't kind of attacked Trump supporters either. And that's smart, because they both understand if they're the nominee, they're going to need those voters in a general election.
But what about Ted Cruz? I mean, would he win a general election? Because something, again, about him rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if it's his talk of Judeo-Christian values, or he's so
that rubs you the wrong way?
No, that doesn't rub me the wrong way. But in a general election, I think a lot of people are going to steer clear from Ted Cruz.
Well, here's what I will tell you. This is I said this a couple times, but it bears repeating because this argument is being advanced again. Short term, between now and November, 8 months, if you think that the pathway for the Republican nominee to be victorious, if it turns out to be a close race, if Hillary Clinton is the nominee and she gets indicted or something, well, that it probably changes the dynamic a little bit. But
Maybe.
Assuming it's a close race, like it has been, particularly in 2012, where it comes down to a few states. If you think the pathway is trying to go from 27 or 30% of Latinos up to 42%, or moving the needle from 5, 7, 8% of African Americans to 15%, then I think you're wrong politically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ashamed that the Republican Party doesn't do better among those minority demographics than we do. That is a long-term problem that requires a long-term sustained fix. It is not going to happen between now and November. At least I think the better opportunity is the voters that Trump has brought into this process, who were jettisoned by President Obama and the Democrats in 2012 formally, but were not embraced and brought into the fold by Mitt Romney. Those middle-income families in Rust Belt states like Iowa and Wisconsin and Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania, that to me is the pathway for Republican victory, and that's the path that Ted Cruz is plotting, base plus strategy. And, there's differences of opinion about that, but that's where I think that's the right play, and I think that's Ted Cruz's play. So that's how he wins a general election. Again, the interesting thing about Cruz versus Rubio, it's all stylistic. And the argument I would make to supporters of other candidates, and I like Rubio, is politicians are the means to policy ends. We just played cult of personality politics for the last 7 years. How'd that go? Why should we adopt that philosophy on our side? I'm not in love with Ted Cruz or any other politician. They are the means to policy ends only. So it's a question of who do you believe is most reliable in terms of pursuing the policy ends you want to see pursued. That's where you should cast your lot, in my opinion. Personality comes and goes. It is character and policy choices that matter. And if any of the candidates or elected officials stop being a vehicle for the policies they said they would pursue if elected, then they should be replaced. Period.
Our rights do not come from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or even from the Tea Party. Our rights come from our Creator.
Let's go to Ralph in Rantoul. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Not a big Trump supporter. I do enjoy watching him stick it to the media. He seems to be immune to their barbs. But I think the important distinction with the Iowa caucus, I'm not that surprised that Cruz came out because Cruz, conservative, solid, at least in my opinion. And when you caucus, you can't hide behind the curtain, flip a switch, tell somebody that you support one candidate and vote for the other. You're there. People see who you support. They talk to you about it. You have to line up on either side of the room. And I think for people who are perhaps a little bit less self-confident or even cowardly about talking about whom they support, a caucus is a great way to know when serious people are going to stand behind a candidate. Be honest about it. Tell me why you support.
Thanks, Ralph.
And Cruz did well considering, he had the governor of Iowa against him, telling people not to vote for him. He had Donald Trump throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him, saying that he was an anchor baby, he's not eligible. And he's still...
Liar.
Yeah, and that he was a liar and that he's a nasty, nasty guy, and he still beat Donald Trump. So there is cause for celebration this morning.
Dan and Addison, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Dan.
Oh, hello, Dan. You might as well call me the anti-Dan.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
No, actually, I love you guys, and that's why I listen to you. You're both fantastic. And, I'm really a political junkie, and I've been following this, and I wasn't sure who to support, either Cruz or Trump. And I've really come down to supporting Trump. And, Dan, I'm a pretty smart guy, I follow this stuff. So there's a number of reasons.
Dan, give us the best reason you got because we got to jump.
Okay, well, the best reason is, number one, the American people are getting hosed on, the the whole concept of the free trade. Donald Trump is the only one, and he's been saying this for years, that we've got to renegotiate this stuff. Free trade is fine with Canada, but with China or Vietnam, I mean, there's got, these are slave wage labor countries.
Got it, Dan. Thanks for the call. We got to jump. I'll note that Donald Trump said he and Bernie Sanders agree on trade. That should be pause for additional reflection.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
More of your phone calls coming up on our turnkey.pro answer line, 312-642-5600. Grab a line. But first, here's your forecast today. Cloudy right now. We do have a chance of rain developing throughout the day and sticking with us through the overnight hours. And then tomorrow morning, considerable cloudiness. Breezy, some snow showers by the afternoon, highs in the mid-30s. Let's get the travel times. How's the inbound Stevenson doing?
Well, Amy, good morning. It's an hour and 5 minutes right now from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Really slow Harlem to Kedzie, and from the Ryan to Lakeshore Drive, it is clear on the outbound side. The Edens is 23 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 22. The Kennedy with delays starting at Cumberland. 1 hour from O'Hare to downtown. Express lanes will save you 5 or 6. Outbound, just a 7-minute delay Montrose to Sayre. The Eisenhower, an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound, it's 59 minutes. The Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, slow southbound Lawrence to Fullerton. Northbound Balboa to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State from the Stevenson to 31st. And the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Adams Tollway, Sticky, Barrington Road to 53. Baton Rouge Memorial from Maple to the Reagan Tollway, and from the Army Trail Toll to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Don't get stuck paying 2 mortgages or living with a for sale sign in your yard forever. The answer is simple. Just call Saul Z and the Z team. Saul Z guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to. If 29 days pass without a sale, Saul will buy it or help you rent it. And working with Saul won't obligate you to anything, because if you aren't happy, Saul lets you out of the contract. Saul is so confident in selling your home because he spends many more times on marketing than his competitors. For example, Mike and Kathleen from Glen Ellen heard about Saul Z and the Z team from a well-known radio personality endorsement and met with Saul. After hearing about Saul's marketing plan, they listed for $275,000, and Saul sold their home in only 7 days at 99% of their asking price. That's why the Wall Street Journal ranks Saul number 106 out of more than 1.2 million agents, because his team sells an average of more than 300 homes a year as compared to 5 or 6 for the average agent. That's why I'll be calling Saul when I'm ready to sell my well-appointed condo or buy a new home. So go to callsaul.net, that's callsaul, S-A-U-L.net, to find out what your home's worth, or call Saul directly at 888-346-0666. That's 888-346-0666, and start packing.
Place your orders for promotional items now for the year. Get ready for the big trade show. Provide shirts or jackets for all of your employees, students, or church members. Or giveaway items like coffee mugs, pens, or hats. Whatever it is, you can trust an American to take care of it.
This is Sam Gilberto, president of American Embroidery and Screen Printing and American Marketing Products. We specialize in putting your logo on just about anything. Our focus is entirely on you, our customer. We want every customer experience to be outstanding.
Here's an offer to help your budgets for the new year. 10% off and free artwork on embroidery and screen printing orders for all new customers. 10% off and free artwork on embroidery and screen printing orders for all new customers.
We have the capability, capacity, and know-how to get your job done right and on time.
Call 630-766-2825. 630-766-2825. Get more at trustinamerican.com. Being trained for a medical emergency in your workplace can save a life. Shh.
Analyzing. Shock advised. Stay clear of patient. Press the flashing orange button now.
Thanks to technology and training from Lifesavers Health and Safety Training, tragedy can be avoided.
Shock delivered.
She's breathing.
Thanks to this well-trained employee, a life was saved. A well-trained workplace safety team can be the difference between life and death. In as little as 4 minutes, brain damage begins. It takes an average of 7 to 10 minutes for an emergency response team to arrive. Lifesavers Health and Safety Training prepares your team with American Red Cross certified CPR, first aid, and defibrillator classes. At your facility, you'll gain the skills and confidence necessary to respond to life-threatening situations. Call Lifesavers Health and Safety Training at 847-571-7981 or visit lifesavers-training.com. 847-571-7981.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, all right, let's take some more calls, get your reactions to Iowa. Jeff in Arlington Heights, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Look, you guys are very anti-Trump, and I think it's a little hypocritical. And the reason is that you say things like, well, he's too simplistic. He'll say, I want to build a wall. Which represents a whole policy of, I'm going to enforce the law that's on the books, okay? But if you were to say that, I'm going to enforce the law that's on the books and give you the Immigration Act, for example, and say, we're going to go point by point through this, you wouldn't have any patience for it, okay? So he says something, and so, the last caller, he calls
that
in,
is nonsense.
He makes some points, and you cut him off with a snarky comment. So
He wasn't snarky. You weren't snarky.
Jeff. Number one.
Wait. The snarky comment was, "Hey, he's got the same policy as Bernie Sanders."
That's not a snarky comment. That's what Donald Trump said over the weekend on Face the Nation. So
come on.
He did
a whole interview on Face the Nation. He didn't say one simplistic little thing.
Okay?
Jeff, if you don't like that he says.
Jeff, okay. First of all, thanks for the call, Jeff. First of all, that is what he said.
It's what he said. We played it 2 times yesterday.
I have no antagonism towards Trump supporters. Trump is not the vehicle I choose, but I have no antagonism. But the idea that we're just going to ignore what he says, those were his own words. We played the clip yesterday.
We played it twice.
Yeah, so, come on.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, in terms of a snarky comment to the previous caller, we were up against a break. That's why I had to cut him off. So, anyway, Joe in Woodstock, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Joe, turn your radio down.
Turn your radio down. Joe.
Tremendous.
Joe.
Okay,
Joe.
bye-bye.
Joe in Woodstock. Joe, yes, you're here. Go, Joe.
Yes. Hello, guys. Listen, let me tell you something. If it wasn't for Donald Trump to open up the floodgates and do what he's doing to step up to the plate and say the way it is and tell the truth, none of this stuff would be going on with these other guys. All these other guys, all of a sudden, they look like they're heroes. But he's the hero. He's the guy that opened up the floodgates and stepped up to the plate. And for the first time to be in the political arena, I think he did pretty good.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Joe. Appreciate it.
Voter turnout, record high voter turnout in Iowa yesterday for the Republicans and Democrats.
Which turned out to benefit Ted Cruz, interestingly. Ferris and Cicero.
Hey, DNA, groundhog greetings on what is now today National Salem Media Group Day.
Okay, Ferris.
So greetings on that note, but here's what really happened in Iowa yesterday, if you'd care to share.
Yes, Ferris,
what
please
really
share quickly.
What really happened in Iowa yesterday was 2 words, very carefully, election frigging. Election frigging is that combination of election fraud and election rigging. What we did is we took the 2 words fraud and rigging, we pushed them together, we came up with frigging. So if you Google election frigging, just those 2 words, you will see when it was nationally broadcast for the first time. You can hear it and read it. And what it is there have been no free and fair elections since 1960.
Okay.
And what happened is these were reported through Microsoft. Bill and Melinda Gates controlled the reporting of these numbers.
Got it. I got the conspiracy theory. Thanks for the call, Ferris. You've given us a lot to think about over the break.
Am I on the air?
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This Valentine's Day is all about showing that special someone how much you love them, and no good gesture goes unnoticed. But some loved ones this year, aside from the ones close to you, could use a little love from you too. 2-year-old Elliot Grants has been diagnosed with grade 4 glioblastoma, and he and his family could use your love and support at Austin's Fuel Room in Libertyville on Valentine's Day from 5 to 10 p.m. for their Grace of Grants event. Tickets include apps, drinks, and a live show from crooner Ron Hawking, but most importantly, the $125 price tag goes directly towards easing the financial burden that the Grants family has taken on as they spend their Valentine's Day fighting to keep their biggest love alive, well, and taken care of. Please join in their fight and show the Grants family what true love this Valentine's Day really looks like. For more info, please call 847-549-1972 or visit austinssaloon.com.
Alrighty there. Now that the holidays are over, it's time to start thinking a little bit about yourself. And one way would be to treat yourself to a MyPillow. There are many of you who have been procrastinating, but don't put it off any longer. MyPillow is a premium pillow with 4 different loft levels that's customized to your individual preference. And for my listeners who use the promo code Amy, guess what? You'll still get 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. It's MyPillow's best offer. It's so important to get a great night's sleep. You've heard me rave how it helps with my chronic back pain due to my scoliosis. If you have insomnia, allergies, it's excellent as well. It's washable, so it keeps its shape and gives you support where you need it most. That's why it's the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For this 2 for the price of 1 offer, simply go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Amy. Do it now or call 800-489-0201, 800-489-0201. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to Kathy Obradovich, political columnist for the Des Moines Register at 8:38.
And can women's truly be cats? We'll explain. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
38 in clouds. And we're following a developing story in Hawaii this morning where a Marine commander was fired as leader of that helicopter squadron days before a deadly crash involving 2 choppers from that squadron off the coast of Oahu. Lieutenant Colonel Edward Pavelka led that Marine heavy helicopter squadron for less than 11 months. It was Squadron 463 before he was removed from his position January 11th. 3 days later, 2 helicopters from that squadron crashed during a nighttime training mission. The 12 members on board declared dead by the U.S. Marine Corps. Call it a Democratic cliffhanger this morning. Iowa voters still really don't know the winner of the Democratic caucuses because Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are locked in a virtual tie. State Party Chair Andy McGuire says the results will be the closest in Iowa Democratic caucus history. Sanders arrived in New Hampshire this morning to a cheering crowd of supporters.
And the reason that we have done so well here in Iowa, the reason I believe we're going to do so well in New Hampshire and in the other states that follow, the reason is the American people are saying no to a rigged economy.
He came in third in the Iowa Republican caucuses. Marco Rubio still gaining supporters, including South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
We have one shot in 2016 to beat Hillary Clinton. That shot is Marco Rubio. And with him as our candidate, we win. Join me. Vote for Marco Rubio.
Tim Scott endorsing Rubio this morning in a YouTube video. Meantime, 2 presidential candidates have officially pulled out of the race. Former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley and former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Bill Cosby back inside a courthouse this morning. A Pennsylvania judge could decide today whether or not sex assault charges filed by one woman against the entertainer will be dismissed. A storm system stretching more than 1,000 miles will bring snow, wind, and rain and tornadoes to the Southwest Plains, Midwest, and Deep South today. To the south of us, severe storms and tornadoes could possibly hit southern Illinois and Indiana later today. Police are investigating a suspicious death in suburban Plainfield. A woman found yesterday in a vehicle parked near the intersection of Lockport Street and Van Dyke Road, suffering severe head trauma. And the bargaining team of the Chicago Teachers Union has given a thumbs down to a new 4-year contract offer. Both sides back to square one. Chicago sports, Utah beat the Bulls 105-96 in overtime. The news, a service of the Foundation for a Better Life. Many rose up with violence. He sat down for peace. Mahatma Gandhi reached out with the strength cultivated within his soul. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is just as confused about the 2016 campaign as you are.
If the conventional wisdom applies, Ben Carson drops out. John Kasich, Jeb Bush, Chris Christie drops out. I don't know what's conventional and what isn't conventional anymore. I do know what I don't know. And what I don't know is how this thing is going to play out when the Iowa caucuses begin in really just a matter of days.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Chicago winters are brutal. But when you're homeless, they can be life-threatening. At 54, Trudy fell on hard times and ended up living on the streets. On cold winter nights, Trudy says the trick was to sleep on empty milk cartons to keep her body from freezing on the frozen ground. Well, thankfully, Trudy found Franciscan Outreach. Franciscan Outreach provides people who are homeless with hot meals, a warm bed, access to health care, and the support needed to improve their lives. Today, with the help of Franciscan Outreach, Trudy is employed, has permanent housing, and sleeps in her own warm bed on cold winter nights. Please find a home in your heart for those who are homeless. Visit franoutreach.org to find out how you can help. Your gift will help improve the lives of hundreds of people like Trudy every day. franoutreach.org. Make a difference today.
8:36 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. The very latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike and Niles. 3 ambulances are reporting the intersection of Toohey and Milwaukee Avenue due to a crash. Eden's inbound 23 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 22. Kennedy is jammed, Nagel into the Loop area. It is an hour from O'Hare to downtown. 42 minutes from Montrose, 34 in the Express. Outbound, there's a 5-minute delay, Montrose to Sayre. Mount Eisenhower, an hour and 4 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 48 minutes from Manheim. Outbound, it's 41 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound clear. Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, stop and go Wilson to Fullerton. Northbound slow Balboa to Jackson. Eastbound Adams Tollway heavy Roselle to 53. Veterans Memorial heavy Army Trail to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy, windy, rain developing today. Some sleet mixed in, high 42. 35 at O'Hare, 36 at Midway, and 36 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 9, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, you know, one of the names we haven't mentioned, and he spent some time in the lead in Iowa, is Ben Carson.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Ben, he finished in 4th place, but a distant 4th, consistent with what the polls had suggested he would do, which is about 10% of the vote. And
he's claiming this morning that his opponents use lies and dirty tricks against him, saying that, you know, they started this whisper campaign that the neurosurgeon was going to drop out of the race hours before the Iowa caucuses. And he didn't like that too much, so now he's coming out this morning saying that it was, you know, devastating.
Well,
and also, too,
devastating. Welcome to politics.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's too nice. I've said it from the get-go. I think he was always too nice to run for president.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think Carson and a handful of others will go through to South Carolina. I suspect you won't see a real winnowing of the field, one that would have substantial impact to change the dynamics until after the South Carolina primary. I mean, you know, you've got New Hampshire a week from today, and then you've got South Carolina on the 20th. So it's just a couple weeks later.
But it was very strange because Dan, right before the caucuses began, he flew home to his house in West Palm Beach, Florida, to get a fresh set of clothes. So people saw that as him dropping out of the race, you know, because he left. But he didn't leave to go to New Hampshire. He left to get clothes and then go to New Hampshire.
Okay. The logistics of the Carson campaign are fascinating.
Just buy a fresh set of clothes. You don't need to go home.
True, I suppose. So I want to get to this Bernie Sanders stuff because it's so much fun.
Great.
Bernie Sanders supporters. So before the caucusing last night, Roger Simon from Pajamas Media went out to a MoveOn.org event, a rally for Bernie Sanders, and was asking the Bernie backers, those feeling the burn, if they were happy about sticking it to billionaires.
Now, I noticed on the Bernie literature for this event that it's opposing billionaires in American politics. How do you feel about that?
I think it's about time someone stood up to the billionaires, and I think that it's time they start paying their fair share of taxes so we can get free public college and everything Bernie's standing for.
The government has helped the billionaires for time and time. I mean, over again for the past years. We bailed out the banks. We did all this. and now it's their time to help out the middle class, which they have destroyed.
We don't like billionaires. No, we're coming for them.
Definitely. I mean, it's his whole stance is how he wants to get money out of politics and prevent the billionaire class from having all the power and influence in politics that they currently have.
Yeah, and then they were presented with the reality of who funds MoveOn.org.
Uh-oh. Don't tell them. I don't think they can process that yet.
Billionaires.
Dump Trump the chump. And this event is sponsored by MoveOn.org?
Yes.
Are you members?
No, I'm not a member. I've recently just heard.
Yeah, I'm a member too. We're members.
I'm sure we've used MoveOn.org. We appreciate that he. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure we are.
Yeah. Sure we are.
We've used MoveOn.org. It sounds like it's an app or
Sure
like
we
an Uber
are.
car. I think I've used. Is that an Uber or a Lyft service?
And then Simon went on to explain to them that MoveOn.org is funded by George Soros and other billionaires. And then, of course, the billionaires, the stuff we support, they're okay. It's the billionaires funding the stuff we don't support. They're not so okay. But it was just instructive to hear Bernie backers in their own words in terms of the real understanding of who supports whom and what their philosophy on life is.
Well, it gets better because Brooke Baldwin over there at CNN, I'm sure you're familiar with her work. She went to one of the caucuses, and a lot of Bernie backers were there, and she asked him about their candidate. He's a Democratic socialist. Do you know what a socialist is, and do you know what it is?
Can you define socialism?
Socialism?
Can you define socialism?
Can I define socialism? Probably not. If I'm being totally honest.
Socialism. Oh boy. I don't think I can.
Like Social Security, roads, Medicaid, depending on the form that it takes. Anything that's sort of come together and publicly funded and through our government would be socialism. I might be wrong, so if you make me look like a fool on the news, I'll forgive you for it.
Yeah.
Was he wrong, Dan?
They're so cute at that age. But, I mean, frankly, in their defense, Hillary Clinton doesn't know the difference between a Democrat and a socialist. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the head of the DNC, doesn't know the difference between socialism, between a socialist and a Democrat, because Chris Matthews keeps asking Democrat leaders what the difference is, and nobody can answer his question. Let's go to Kurt in Park Ridge. Kurt, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
And that's why I was telling your call screener, the big loser last night was our educational system, because these kids have no idea the difference between socialism and capitalism or property rights, and they just think it's a word, but they don't realize before it's too late, when their stuff starts getting taken, then, it's a big mistake. But by then, all our guns will be gone.
Thanks for the call, Kurt. Now, the good news is Hillary Clinton got one of the two participation trophies for the Democrat caucus, since it was effectively a tie. But she took to the stage, and she made it clear that she's coming for you, and she ain't mincing words.
And I know what we are capable of doing. I know we can create more good-paying jobs and raise incomes for hardworking Americans again. I know that we can finish the job of universal health care coverage for every single man, woman, and child. I know we can combat climate change and be the clean energy superpower of the 21st century. I know we can make our education system work for every one of our children, especially those who come with disadvantages. I know we can make college affordable and get student debt off the backs of young people. And I know we can protect our rights, women's rights, gay rights, voting rights, immigrant rights, workers' rights.
And then she
Single mom rights.
Then she slit the throat of a goat and drank its blood.
Stop it.
And the crowd seemed to enjoy that.
But it was weird because she, took to the stage abruptly and never declared victory, but just wanted to let them, thank her constituents, thank her supporters, and then off she went to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
While in flight, they decided they won.
Yeah.
By 4 delegates.
Off she went to New Hampshire to get her brains beat in by Bernie Sanders.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. on AM 560. The Answer.
Cloudy out. We have some rain developing this afternoon that's going to stick with us through the evening and into tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow will be breezy with a snow shower in the afternoon, a high of 37 lovely degrees. Anything lovely out on the roadways, Jim Telemonte?
Well, Amy, you'll be happy to hear the inbound Kennedy's improved a little bit. It's still really slow from Foster to the Burns Circle. It's 53 minutes O'Hare to downtown. It was an hour. 36 minutes from Montrose, 30 in the Express. And outbound, it's just a 3-minute delay from Montrose to Sayre. Eden's inbound, 23 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound, fine at 19. The Eisenhower's an hour and 4 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound, 41 minutes. The Stevenson, 54 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine. The Ryan is 25 minutes, 95 to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, the delays are southbound from Wilson to Fullerton. Northbound heavy Balbo to Jackson. Tollways are lightening up. Adams Tollway still a little sluggish. Roselle to 53. Veterans Memorial tight from the Army Trail toll to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Who wants to see the sunshine? Who wants to experience warm weather, golfing, time at the beach? Well, if you do, then escape to Cabo with us, Dan and Amy. We'll be heading to the Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort April 2nd through the 9th, Saturday to Saturday. It's presented by Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Associates and by Artistic Dentistry. The exclusive Apple Vacations price has expired, but there's still limited availability. So if you want to join us in Cabo, you need to take action now. We're staying at The Secrets, Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort. It's adults only, all-inclusive, all suites, ocean views, it's well-appointed rooms. Opened just 2 years ago, and it has 8 restaurants serving scrumptious food, 4 bars, a cigar bar, and it also has 2 sparkling pools, beautiful beach area, and adjacent to the resort, 2 9-hole golf courses designed by Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman. So book your trip today. Visit 560theanswer.com. Keyword escape.
Text from the Amish texter: if Hillary is elected, will she be the first president to be denied a security clearance for classified material? That's a good question. Coming up on Thursday, March 10th, the remaining Republican candidates will get together for the last debate before the Illinois primary, which, of course, is March 15th. It's a last chance for these candidates to make the closing arguments for your vote, and we'll be hosting a debate viewing party, March to the White House. Join us and other AM 560 listeners at Austin's Fuel Room in Libertyville. You cheer on your favorite candidate, watch the debate on the big screen. Tickets are just $25 and include an all-you-can-eat buffet. Tickets are extremely limited, so order yours today. If you attended our View and Brew watch party last August or our Big Issues on the Big Screen watch party in September, you know how much fun this is going to be. Join us for the March to the White House, sponsored in part by DS Arms, Thursday, March 10th. Doors open at 5 p.m. for a live broadcast of The Joe Walsh Show. The buffet opens at 6:30. Visit 560theanswer.com/March for more details and to purchase your tickets.
I just took Balance of Nature for the first time. You guys are awesome. God bless you.
I have CIDP. It's helped me with my balance. It's helped clear up my skin condition.
I honestly did notice a difference. That's why I reordered it.
I feel good. I really just feel good. Everything has changed. I just feel so much better.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this product works. It's helped me as far as my overall health. I even recommended it to my mother, and she's been taking it, and she's 89 years old.
Get started early on your New Year's resolution with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Are you or someone you know facing foreclosure? Losing the family home? Well, you'd be not alone, so please listen to this. There are a lot of issues in a foreclosure, legal issues, factual issues. Dozens so far, and more coming to light every day. You see, people, we are in the aftermath of what will go down in history as the greatest financial crime in history, from which a lot of people profited immensely. And these people did not always do things entirely legally. That is a foregone conclusion. I'm Lou Bridges. I put together a law firm dedicated to foreclosure defense and to avoiding foreclosure by working with the banks. based on a thorough examination and analysis of all the potential issues and questions. And we have surrounded ourselves with people equally committed to this pursuit of justice.
Call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231. Or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense firm and discover the legal tools at your disposal.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Amy Jacobson's Cat Stories.
Here we go.
Oh, I love it. There's a woman out there, Dan, believe it or not, says that she is a cat trapped in the wrong body. And I say this because she hisses at dogs. She hates water because, well, we know cats hate water. Did you ever try to bathe your cat, Dan?
I did. I did bathe my cat.
Why would
That's
you
not a metaphor either.
But why would you bathe your cat?
Because she was dirty.
No, you don't. Cats clean themselves. Cats don't like water. And cats don't like dogs. And cats can see at night. That's why they can spot ghosts that are in your bedroom.
Fascinating.
It is. It's true.
This woman, her name is Nano.
Of course it is.
She's Norwegian, so the Scandinavian connection. Claims she realized she was a cat when she was 16 years old and has adopted feline mannerisms since. That's 4 years ago.
Does she do this? Watch.
Okay, Nano 2.
I'm cleaning myself because they lick their paw and then they bring it to their ears and their head, and that's how they clean their heads. It's so cute when cats clean themselves.
I wish I could unsee what I just saw, but I can't.
Well, she made the revelation a YouTube video, which has been viewed over 100,000 times, probably even more than that now that we're talking about it. She shows off her cat characteristics by wearing fake ears and an artificial tail, and she communicates only by meowing.
Sometimes I hiss when meeting dogs in the street, so she's communicating with words here. It's because of their behavior, and my instinct automatically reacts by hissing.
The Catwoman also wears a pair of pink fluffy paws with which to groom herself and feels especially like doing so when she's in contact with water. So after she eats her drink and there's some dribbles on her face, she puts on these pink fluffy paws. You really need to see this on YouTube. And then she cleans herself.
She's born the wrong species, she says. It's also obvious that I'm a cat when I start purring and meowing and walking around on 4 legs and stuff like that. Nano
prefers to crawl around on her hands and knees, Dan. And she paws at the windows when she wants to go outside.
Yeah. My psychologist told me I can grow out of it, but I doubt it. I think I will be a cat all my life. Now, we're going to have to, those signs you're starting to see pop up at airports and other public spaces now, the post-gender bathrooms where you've got the silhouette of a man and a woman and then like a man-woman with like the half skirt and then a baby. Now we're going to have like post-gender bathrooms / kitty litter boxes.
Well, here's the thing. Speaking of kitty litter, she does prefer to use a cat box.
Of course she does.
And she prefers to sleep in the sink and on windowsills where she feels safe.
She does claim to have night vision, but admits she has not yet caught a mouse.
Seriously?
Does she have? She probably has really long nails.
Yeah, I'll tell you. You watch that YouTube video. For you, it's got to be like looking into a mirror.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. You know, nothing frustrates me more than liberal hypocrisy. Take our food, for example. You know, the left claims to care about the poor and the environment, but guess what? They're waging a silent war against America's farmers that is making our food supply more costly and less sustainable. America's family farmers are producing more food using less land and fewer resources than ever before. Now, they should be cheered, but instead, radical groups are working with government bureaucrats to crack down on our farmers and limit the tools and technology that they're allowed to use. And the result is higher food costs for you, the American consumer, and low-income families. They're hit the hardest. Now, thankfully, someone is fighting back. Protect the Harvest is a national coalition working to defend modern American agriculture. You can check them out at protecttheharvest.com and follow them on Facebook to get the very latest news and see how you can help. Don't let radical activists control your family's food choices. Visit protecttheharvest.com today.
Some reactions to Amy's cat story, not as per usual. Text from 847 to you, Amy, no licking yourself in the studio.
Thank you.
Text from the Amish texter again, just like my ex-wife, Nano is cat blank crazy. And text from 847, does she clean herself like a cat down there?
Oh, in the heathen region. Oh, no. But check it out on YouTube. Check it out.
Gentlemen, it's Dan Proft. Do you know your numbers? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol number, but do you know your testosterone? I do. Low T Center makes it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and know your results within minutes. If you're a man over 40 and have noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T makes you feel tired and grumpy. It can raise your cholesterol and cause weight gain. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. At Low T Center, it takes just minutes for the results, and services are covered by most health insurance. And they now offer convenient and flexible hours. So do yourself a favor and get your levels checked at Low T Center. Call today, 630-409-4305. That's 630-409-4305. Or visit lowtcenter.com and tell them Dan Proft sent you.
On November 2nd, Obama signed into law a controversial budget bill. Now, this massive legislation eliminates two of the most popular Social Security claiming strategies. Here's Social Security